Hello, everybody, and welcome to Book Club with Bay. I am Bay, and this is Bay. Say hi, Bay.
Hi, Bay.
And say hi, other Bay.
Hello.
And so today we were talking about Loved, the first book in season 2 of House of Night, and we do not stand because unanimously we've all agreed that this is the worst book in the House of Night series thus
There
far.
is literally one thing that I stand in this book.
Yep.
One thing.
Oh.
And it's just ding, ding, ding. That is the correct answer. That quote. That's it.
Yes, yeah. Like, some of Aphrodite's lines were okay, and that was about it.
Yeah.
But, like, I think I said this to Addie. What made the other books bad was the fact that, like, nothing happened in them.
Mm-hmm.
What made this book bad is that a lot happens in it, and it's all awful.
Yeah.
Every bit of it.
Yeah.
So buckle in, because we're going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Addie and I have alcohol.
Yeah. I mistakenly forgot to get some. So
It's also morning for
I
you, but
have
honestly,
energy.
this warrants morning drinking.
It's late morning. It's late morning.
Honestly, with this book, it could be 7 a.m. and it's like, well,
I need to get
I
trapped.
can't blame you.
yeah, it would be like in honor of Aphrodite. Fuck it.
Yes. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but do you want to know what the come to me count for this book was?
Oh,
good.
yes.
0.
Yeah,
There
I
was
know.
not a single come to me.
I know. Like, there's a note I have later in the book where Shawnee, like, they actually say, like, Zoe's like, I can tell she's calling, like, she's summoning air. And I was like, so we could do it silently this whole fucking time?
Yeah.
That's amazing, though. I didn't even notice that. But, yeah.
I
No
just did a
companies.
quick, and I just to confirm, I did a search of the audio of the ebook. I typed in "come to me." There's 2 come to me's in it, but it's in a like
Not.
go do this and then come to me quickly, and it would be super awkward for him to step outside his comfort zone and come to me.
Yeah.
So, like, the thing is, this, I think, just goes to show that, like, the nitpicky things in books are not what make them bad.
Yeah, because
Just so-
we've been bitching about that constantly.
Like, just so people understand something about, like, books and stuff, whenever you, like, listen to people bitch about, like, the little things, the reason why the little things get under your skin are because the book is bad.
Yeah.
Not because the little things matter.
And often as well, it's the accumulation of a whole lot of little things that make the book bad
Right.
or worse.
Because
So-
every book has little things. Like, there's not a single book that doesn't have a little thing that makes you go,
Yeah.
why? But
Mhm.
when a book is good, you just don't care.
Like with the Mercy books, really good. Don't like, and there's some things about Mercy that annoys me, like the fact that, like, the Ben stuff and how what she thinks about Ben and Honey. But I can get over that. But we still talk about those in the context of book club because that's what we do.
Yeah.
But
I
in
would say-
general, I don't care.
But I would also say that, like, the Mercy book series and, like, the Alpha and Omega series are 2 of our favorite series. And, like,
Yes.
in one of the Alpha and Omega books, the horse stuff the horse thing got a bit
Too much.
too much. But we were like, whatever. But it was a really good book. And but when it's a good book, those are things that
You
you're
can
like,
overlook the nitpicks.
you're like, whatever, because it's nitpicks and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's just something, like, if you're a writer, that's just something to keep in mind, is that the nitpicky things are not the important things.
Yeah.
But if people are, like, nitpicking your book to death a lot, or nitpicking a book to death, it's because usually there's an underlying issue, and it's that the book is garbage.
Yeah. I will say, actually, there is another thing about this book that I did like, and it's more a format thing, not the story itself. I like that the recap was all at the beginning.
Yes, I liked the recap at the beginning.
And then there was not from memory, there wasn't really, we didn't get to witness them filling everyone in on everything that we just
Something that I
witnessed.
did notice in this book was that whenever there was a recap, it was, and then Aphrodite told him what happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, good, we learned how
And
to
also-
explain that somebody was telling someone something. Oh my God. Holy shit.
Right?
After 13 books, we learned how to do it like fucking adults. Oh my God.
Their internal formatting also got a like higher budget. So like the internal formatting, since I read the ebook, it's little crescent moons instead of like stars or anything like that. It's little crescent moons, and I thought that was really cute. I was like, yeah, see, it's stuff like that that's like nice touch. Still shit.
And in the recap at the beginning as well, like it was good because, like, you know, like for example, there was what is a House of Night? Well, the House of Night is a blah blah blah, but the question was in red. All the characters' names are in red. Like anything that you need to hone in on, you know. So
very comprehensive.
Yeah, the formatting of the intro at the very least is
well, and that kind of recap.
I stand that as well
At the beginning of a book like this, where it's been a couple years, and when we're starting like a season 2,
like a new storyline,
it makes sense. It makes sense to do it like that. And like we've talked about with certain series that I've read, like what, you know, one of my favorite author, Mark Lawrence, does this in his books, and his books are long as shit. So I appreciate it because even when you read the books back to back,
it's still
the recap
good.
At the beginning is actually super helpful because he's like, for those of you who've waited a year, or if you just want to get caught up, here's the thing that you need to remember. And you're still, even if you just read the book like today, you're like, oh yeah, because the books are just that long.
And it's also, I liked in the preface thing, they had also where everyone is now, because it is 10 months later.
They filled in the gap.
So I like, oh, well, you know, so this person is living with this person and they're doing this role in this city at this House of Night. And I was like, I like that. Thank you. So that way you don't have to, in the book, pad that word count by being like, oh yeah, it's just like, you need to know this before you get into it. And I was like,
right, because
then they ruined it all.
That they don't say like in the preface, but that like just because it's his personality, that Mark Lawrence says, that made me like snort laugh the first time I heard it, was he was like, so that I don't have to have characters awkwardly say things that they already know for your benefit. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Here's what happened last time, or like all the shit you need to know for this book. And it's like, okay, because yeah, the characters already know where they are, but you don't. So for you, here's where we're at. Like,
and granted, they still did that, like little, oh my God, well, how's San Francisco? Oh my God, well, how's New Orleans? Oh my God, well, how's, they still had that. But
that said, though, again, a lot of that stuff was
conversational,
like, and they were catching up, and it was giving further context to the stuff we got in the intro. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, yeah, so like let's discuss how they defeated Neferet for 2 hours.
Yeah, it was like credit where it's due. They put a little bit more effort into it. It was still not done as well as it could have been done because like the implication was that they had been talking regularly. But the conversation came off as if they hadn't spoken for 6 fucking months.
Yeah. And we do have nitpicks about the preface. Because of course we do. I do too.
I've got a few.
You too. I have this as well because I have notes before we get 10 years
the
of
preface
House of
was
Night.
a chapter.
Yeah.
Like
it was a very long preface, but like I like that they did it.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah, I like that they did it, and like I said, credit where it's due.
But
they
some
did
of the shit in it,
right, but some of the
stuff in it is like,
some of it's totally wrong. Some of it is like, literally wrong.
Yeah, and we'll get into, and this like goes throughout the book. A lot of things in the book are wrong. There are some things in the book where we were all like, "Man, like what?"
Yeah, like Graham Redford's age,
and what year it is.
Yeah, what year it is.
Because also, right, like, but also, like, if we wanted to accept, because, okay, so this book, they date this book to the year it was released, which was 2017, right?
Yes.
So even if we want to retcon and say that the first season, I guess, happened end of 2016, beginning of 2017,
When
then
they had flip
half
phones.
the references in that book, like all of the references to Miss Jackson's, for example, like going shopping at Miss Jackson's, are irrelevant in the first series because Miss Jackson's was closed. In
And also
2016.
Glee has been over for many years at this point. So Glee would
Yes.
not have been popular in 2017. And also, literally, 2007 is when Marked came out. So they're trying to say that 10 years have passed in 1 year.
Fucking bite me. Like, what?
But that comes up
Yeah.
later.
Again,
I'm sorry, I
like,
couldn't keep it together. Like, I can't
Yeah.
keep it in because we've been keeping
Like-
meticulous track of time, and they're like, it's 2018,
Like,
and I'm like, no,
It's
it's
a different
not.
decade now.
yeah, like I was saying to SEA because I called her yesterday, or was it? No, it would have been your last night still. So yeah, yesterday for both of us. Just pissing myself laughing at this one thing, which we will get to. But then was saying like with Harry Potter, right? Like the first book wasn't released until I think when the last book is set.
Yeah.
And you can and Mercy Thompson books, they're, you know, the books she's publishing now are set several years ago.
Yes.
There's things you can publish a book that's set
Mhm.
a few
In a
years
different
back.
time, different year.
But just if you're going to have pop culture references, make sure they're consistent with the time the book is set.
Well,
And don't-
yeah. Like,
I think they
If
forgot.
you can't do that, just don't have them.
Yeah.
like, for example, like with Livescraft, it begins in 2017, and it ends specifically on March 4th, 2018. And Yorta begins on March 4th, 2019. Which I know. Because
And you're
it's
not going to be like, oh yeah, so it's 2000 now.
right. And so that
Yeah.
means that, like, no matter when Elder comes out, like, it's still going to be 2019 in the book.
And
Like, it
and you can still have them go to the movies and watch TV and reference those shows, but you don't actually have to give it a name. Like, just say you wanted to reference Game of Thrones in your book, but you don't want to specifically date the book.
Mm-hmm.
You just say they walked in and there was a platinum blonde chick riding a dragon on the screen.
Yeah.
So people who knows what Game of Thrones is knows that that's Game of Thrones, but you're not actually specifically saying he was watching Game of Thrones season 4 episode, episode 8
like,
type thing.
I do say, I think it's in Yorta that, like, or it might be in Livescraft that I forget which book it is. but-
Livescraft.
Yeah, that it's like a new episode of Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
specifically to make it clear that, like, while the books are going on, there are still new episodes of Game of Thrones coming out.
Yeah.
Because that just gives you context as to about when it is, because I don't give you dates. Because the specific dates are more, like, for me than they are for you. But, like, dating your books, there's nothing wrong with it because dates are fine.
Exactly.
As
As
long
long
as-
as be consistent with your dates.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, going from, like, Glee is relevant to its 2018 is fucking insulting.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick Google. Just see when Glee ended, just for fun. Just for funsies.
Because also it's heavily implied that it's Glee season 1.
Yeah. And
And
not
then
only
season-
that, it just shows
And then Glee
that-
season 2 with like the Defying Gravity. Because I'm pretty. I
2015.
think that was season 2. No, that was season 1 too.
Yeah, it was. 2015 is when Glee ended.
Well, and by the
its
time that
hype
Glee-
was already over.
by the time the Glee ended, nobody gave a shit.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because the main
Glee
character
for the
died.
first 2 seasons, and then after the first 2 seasons, it started to slowly decline. There was a big boost for his memorial episode, and then it
Yes.
declined again.
Yeah.
Which
Right, because it was really sad.
it was fucking depressing.
It really was. But like,
Still
the
doesn't
thing
make
is-
sense for 2017.
But it also shows
No.
that, like, you don't care.
Yeah.
I wish we could ask the cast all these questions that we have. I really do.
I honestly
their
think that they
explanations.
I think the reason they do it is to be like, see, we're hip. We know what's what. We use
We're-
the acronyms.
we are the
we
woke
use the
audience.
abbreviations. We use the hashtags now.
Like, my thing is, like, why do you think, like, what do you think is going to happen if you just say that it's 2008? Like, what bad thing happens if it's 2000? Nothing bad happens if it's 2008. Nothing.
You know what the good thing about the TV show is, though? It will eliminate all of these problems.
Yeah.
Because they'll just set it
Yeah.
modern day.
Well,
Yeah.
like,
Done.
this kind of, like, for me brings up sort of like the Vampire Diaries, because they kept track of time really well in that show.
Yeah,
and to
and
actually- Well,
Sorry,
to
go.
lead it to, like, modern day, they did a time skip.
yeah, because they
had
had
to.
because they also had half year seasons. So like the season, it was a full length season, but it only covered half of the year in world
Mhm,
and stuff
exactly.
like that. And
And
shows
they
that do
kept up
that, then
with
they always have to time jump at some
Well,
point.
yeah,
Sure.
because everybody was starting to look older, and so they were like, shit. And so
Yeah.
they yeeted everything forward to get it to where we were like in the same
Yeah.
year again, because
Yes.
like the show started in 2009, so like they yeeted us forward, and like, so that's what they did, because they kept up
Yeah.
with it, because
And
it
Pretty
mattered.
Little Liars and One Tree Hill, they did the same thing because they had multi-season years as well. Like, I guess that's how you would. I don't know how to
Yeah.
say it, but yeah, their seasons
Well-
didn't cover a year, so then they time jumped at various points.
Speaking of the TV show, I saw something on PCcast's Twitter that it seems like season 1 of the show is going to be books 1 through 4 of the series. I saw something about that.
There's not
Yeah.
enough.
So books 1 through 4, I think that makes sense because that's March
And-
through what, Untamed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also what you'll find as well is they'll probably, because especially in the first books as well, we didn't have different points of view. We only had Zoe's. The
Mhm.
TV show will have other points of
Everyone's.
view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But honestly, though, I think that the guys doing it can actually make it watchable.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm hoping. I really
excited.
want it to be good. I really want it to be
I
good.
do too. Like, I want it to be good, because I think all of us have like a weird
Special
fondness
place.
for it, because the thing is, like,
That's
if
horrible.
you read Marked is, it's not good, but like it's fine.
It has potential.
It's an okay.
And then it
Marked is fine. Like, it's fine. It's not good, but it's fine. And then everything else is garbage. But Marked is fine.
But it had it all. Every book
Betrayed
has
isn't
potential.
too either. Like Betrayed is like, it's like
When it starts
around
to
the
fall
same level as
apart,
Marked.
and when it starts to fall apart is just when all the guys come into the play. If Zoe
Untamed-
just hadn't been a whore, the series probably would have been a lot better.
Well,
Like,
also
halfway
in
through-
Betrayed, because that's what is Betrayed when she did a bang.
No,
it's Chosen.
No, Chosen.
Or three.
Okay, never mind.
It's
Yeah,
Chosen.
so
It's like
Betrayed-
halfway through Chosen is where it really just starts to.
That's
You're
right. Betrayed
like,
is where
all right,
Stevie Ray.
Exactly. It's all, and I think even the subsequent books, they have potential. They have TV show potential, for sure. It's just it needs to be
It's-
heavily modified.
You know,
Well done.
I would say where, like, you sort of, and honestly, I think that you can see this like in the audience and on like the Goodreads reviews and everything like that, where people keep like hoping that it's gonna, like, where you can kind of like, if you're a fan of it, right, where you can kind of stay hopeful about it, is up to the point where like we're still following Stevie Ray and Zoe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then we like, so basically up through Awakened, you're still kind of like,
Yeah.
maybe.
And
And then
Awakened
once
is
you
my
get to
favorite, so
Destined, it's
it's
like,
where it fell apart.
and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's where
I
it
will
falls
say-
apart.
This book had its point of views was so much better than it has been because we only had
Yes.
like what 4, and
Yeah,
most
well-
of the time it was Zoe.
Yeah, there was Zoe. there
General
was
Dom.
General Dom, but only briefly.
Yeah, once or twice I
Um,
think.
Kevin. Sky. Kevin and Sky.
Oh,
She did a
yeah.
chapter.
Yeah.
But you know what though? I think that was a relevant POV to have.
Yeah, like that's
really-
fine. And then Kevin.
I honestly
And
think we
after
could have stayed with Zoe the entire time.
I think the final chapter we have with Kevin, I like that. Because you see his point of view coming into this friend group. He's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and I don't really mind it. But the best way to make a good House of Night show is to rip the sources gut materials out. Like, the thing is, and I think we've talked about this, and this is, I think, why we all want to actually take it and outline it, is that
it could be so
there are bare bones here that you can do something with.
They're so good. Like, it at its core, it's not a horrible story. It's a weird vampire, and you're trying to take down this evil bitch. At its core, that's all it is.
I will say one of my big frustrations with season 2 is, like, get a new villain, bitch. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, do we want to let's get into the preface. Let's have our complaints about the preface.
Yeah,
because
the first note I have, and this is again this is very nitpicky, but like when it's just explaining about the vampires, it's like vampire trackers follow the pheromones that these teens that are about to change release. We see, but yeah, that like my note for that is like just referencing the Eric bit when he went to
when we see someone go track.
Yeah, he was never like.
He was told the name and where she was and to go get her.
Yeah.
At what time?
Yeah.
It was psychic. It wasn't sniffing.
Yeah, it wasn't the midichlorians.
Yeah, right. My first one is that they have completely changed the mate consort.
Yeah,
it's completely switched now. So now humans are mates and vampires are consorts, which is not how it was.
And it makes sense
it makes sense. Exactly, because you can't mate long term with a human because their lifespans are a third or even a quarter of vampire lifespans.
Yeah, exactly. Like the original thing made sense, right? Like you had vampire warriors, vampire mates, and human consorts. Like, okay, done.
And they've just completely,
that was easy. Another thing in the preface that really kind of annoyed me. Hey Mikey, what's going on? Is that everybody and their fucking brother is a high priestess.
Yeah.
And you mean to fucking tell me
that a bunch of 18-year-olds or 17, 18-year-olds are priestesses, high priestesses?
This is the thing, is that high priestessing, like,
I thought they had to go for training.
This is, exactly.
I mean, long training, because Nefrit is 200 or 100 something years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to go through priestess training. You're a priestess while you're training to be a high priestess.
Zoe being a high priestess automatically fine. Okay, she's like got the and
Stevie
like
Ray also because she's the first red.
Right, like I buy it, but everybody else, fuck off. And also the other thing too is that you mean to tell me that there are no like adult vampires in North America and that 18-year-olds are running the world? Fuck off.
Well, Zoe is like the head of all the North American vampires. She's 17 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
She might be gifted.
17 years old.
Yeah, you might like
go sit in the fucking corner.
At the moment, right? She has the potential because of her gifts, right?
Yes,
and
her closeness to the Knicks.
But she's 17.
Mm-hmm. She would still be under someone who was older. Like Zenobia, honestly, probably should have taken over.
Yeah, and she's the head of like the Tulsa school, right? She is younger than 3/4 of the students.
Yeah.
Because she had only been a fledgling for 3 months when she changed.
Yeah.
And it normally takes them up to 4 years.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make any sense. And yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And then also during the entirety of season 1, we really didn't hear about priestesses. That was never really explained. It was just sort of like tossed in at the last second. Mm-hmm. And then because it was like, priestess training. So it was like, how come Zoe was never into priestess training?
Well, Neferret was supposed to
she was.
It's mentioned in the first book that Neferret was going to mentor her down her
to
priestess
become
career
a
track.
priestess, a high priestess.
But
yeah,
the mentoring never happened because Neferret was evil.
Right. But like it would make more sense if Zoe was taken under the wing of somebody who was a high priestess, and like they should have done it realistically, because that would make more sense. But they don't, and it would make more sense if there was a larger time skip, like I don't know, say 7 years or something,
Yeah.
so that she
Even
was in
that would have made a big difference.
because also it would make sense for quote unquote Neferret to be stirring.
Fuck me. Okay.
Okay, so let me. I have it
But-
all written down where everyone is.
Yeah, but the preface as well finally acknowledges that Crematia is a prophetess.
Yes.
Finally.
Also
So-
in the audiobook, I don't know if you got this, Addie, but in the audiobook, they were saying Han out loud, like
Yeah,
Han.
because in the preface they started doing the capital H or capital
Yeah.
M, which
It's
is fine
HON.
because it's like the authors. It's the authors talking to
Yeah.
the readers,
Yeah,
so
of
it's
course.
fine. But from the audiobook perspective, I think they still should have said House of Night. Not
I
the
do
Han.
too. The other thing,
Han.
like this was another thing in the earlier audiobooks that drove me fucking up a wall.
Prof.
Was whenever they would be like Prof P. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Sorry.
Okay, so Stevie Ray is the high priestess for the Chicago House of Night. She lives with her fam. Damien is in charge of the New York House of Night, which also, Bar, you want to go on your little rant about how gender roles are totally switched now?
Oh yes. So, like,
While we're here.
I am going. Okay, so like, this is the direct quote, right? Gender roles are fluid in the Han. Warriors do tend to be male, and high priestesses are usually female, but everyone is encouraged to follow his or her own path. This is immediately after saying
Bitch,
that
when?
it is a matriarchal society. It's fucking men.
When? We've never seen a
In-
female warrior, and we have never seen a male
And
anywhere.
in what reality can you go? Our society is based on a gender class system, but gender roles are fluid.
You can't. Here's the other thing. And I'm just going to say this now. This is another thing because we're going to get into this, but like we're going to get into it later. But I'm just going to get it out here now. Damien is also the only person to ever be a male to be accepted onto the High Council. Okay. And I'm just going to say this is a very woke book. Okay. And Damien is the first male to be accepted onto the High Council. As we know, Damien is very gay. I'm just going to say this in a woke book. If you're going to have a male stepping into a female gender role, the last thing you should do as an author, if you're going to do this, is have a gay guy do it. Here's why. The trope in fantasy novels is always that the gay guy takes the role of a female because, you know, gay men are women. So if you're going to be woke, that's not how you do it, you dumb fuck. Okay? That's not how you do it. That's not
You have
woke.
Stark being the council person.
Yeah, that's just perpetuating the stereotype that gay guys are basically women, and that they are so feminine that they are women. And like this is the thing is like if you're gonna do the woke thing, that's not how you do it. First of all, so this is the thing: if you're gonna preach to me about being woke, be woke yourself. You better be the wokest person in the fucking room, which you're not, as we have gone over in all the other books. And I am just, and like that, and that's just the thing that drove me up a fucking wall this entire book, and we will get into it. But it's just like,
but also, I can't remember if I actually made a note for this. So I'm just going to say it now while I'm thinking of it because you mentioned the council thing. How did the last book end? We witnessed them being sworn in as the new North American High Council, right? Mm-hmm. We witnessed that. And who got inducted into the council? Lenobia, who gets specifically told, we get specifically told in this book, she's not part of the North American High Council, but she's part of the school council. I'm like, what was that epilogue then?
Oh, just wait. I have a very nice
so many continuity.
Oh, I know. I have something even better to end this. I'm gonna read to you that I sent to her. It's from the next book, technically.
I'm just gonna real quick.
Yeah, I
Technically from the next
didn't get a
book,
chance
but-
to read the.
So no,
Yeah,
it's the beforehand. I guess I can just do it now because it kind of makes sense to do it now. So in the preface for Lost, which is the next one, I'm pulling it up.
Yeah.
There is a thing from PC Cast. Oh God, will you just do it? Will you just do what I want you to do? Thank you. Where PC is writing saying, "Dear readers, can't wait for you to follow this." And then she goes, "I am a character-driven author. That means that even though I outline, plot, and plan every book and series, as soon as I write characters and breathe life into them, all of my well-made plans usually explode. A prime example of this is in
That's obvious.
Untamed, the Fourth House of Night book. In that book, I introduced a new character, James Stark. And we talked about this on stream. James Stark was meant for Stevie Ray, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And then she says, why am I telling you this? For those of you who read Lost or read the excerpt of Lost that was in Loved, it's important. And so the excerpt of Loved in Lost is something that actually doesn't happen in Lost. So she's saying, essentially, that we've talked about this, but now, in her own words, her characters changed their minds. So I guess Lenobia changed her mind and decided she didn't want to be on the High Council. She just wants to be on the Student Council, essentially.
Fuck off. So,
also, okay, in season 1, right, it's always like Aphrodite's gone back to being human. She's a special kind of human, but she's human. She's human. She's human. She's human.
She's not
over and over
human in
again.
this
She's
book.
human. In this book, I'm not even human.
Yeah.
Aphrodite's not a human.
She doesn't identify as human anymore.
I'm like, when did that happen? They made it very clear countless times that while she was human, she was a special kind of human because a warrior could still oath himself to her. But yes, that's right. Oathing is now a verb. But she was human. And in this book, we're bashed over the head repeatedly. Aphrodite is not human.
well,
like,
and that's
fucking when.
And how convenient is that? You can just be like, you know what? I'm going to do that. If anybody ever points out any kind of inconsistency in my book, you know what, guys? Here's the thing. Fuck you guys. I'm right. You're wrong about everything.
Shut up.
Because guess what? My characters, they just jumped to life and they just decided without my consent to change it. And it's not my fault. I take no personal responsibility for anything. You know what? It's not my job to give a shit about anything that I write and put any kind of care into anything that I do and provide you guys with a good product and to give a crap about my craft as an author.
Yep.
I don't have to do that.
Yep.
So if you guys think that I do something wrong, it's your fault. That's on you. You guys, this is the thing. You guys are pieces of shit.
Okay. Well,
Yep,
Shawnee.
that's right. We're gonna quote Teresa J. Martin as "My readers are pieces of shit."
Yeah, we are. 2019.
I hate this book.
So Shawnee is the high priestess at the New Orleans House of Night. She's living with Eric, they brought one of my favorite TV shows into this now, and I'm angry. So Eric is an actor in a Westworld spinoff called Fantasy World, and
he plays He plays robot Dracula.
Yeah, he does.
Whatever. And he FaceTimes with Joss Whedon in this.
Yeah, I'm just irritated. Shaylin and Nicole are token lesbians. Of course, live in San Francisco because where else would they live? Because they're token lesbians.
Also, have you noticed as well? They're not gay anymore. They're queer.
And at the end of Nefret's little spiel, there's a or is she done? Little thing. And I'm just literally fuck off, guys. And then they reveal that it's December 23rd, 2017. So it's just over a year of when season 1 started. So it's like a year and 2 months after Marked.
Yep.
10 months after Nefret died.
Why were they using flip phones?
I don't know. And we had a nostalgia kick. all of them. One thing that I was amused by, and I know you guys were amused by as well, in Zoe's summary in the preface, direct quote, Zoe has a tumultuous history with boys, and although in the matriarchal world of the Han, that's right, we're saying Han,
Yeah.
she has the right to have multiple partners without being judged and slut-shamed, but she's not very good at juggling guys.
Yep. And I thought it was over. And it is for this book. It is over.
And
but there's one mention of my mortal nemesis in this book. Or there's like 5 mentions of him. But
yeah, I will say though as well, I don't like what they
the
did.
look on your fucking face
I
right
fucking
now.
hate Heath. Look, he's Reginald. Look, I know his middle name now. He's a fucking piece of shit, and I
His
fucking
middle
hate him,
name
and I
is
want him to
Reginald.
rot in the ground.
Fucking kidding me?
I really hate Heath, guys.
And I also really don't like what they did to Eric in this book.
Me either.
But
Oh,
we'll get to that when they
another
have
thing.
that discussion.
Yeah, so chapter 1, let's go.
Wait, real quick. I have another thing that I noticed. So they turn Eric into like a cheating bastard, right? Like they say that.
Yeah,
He's
like
never
a
cheated
playboy.
on anyone.
Okay, but can I just say, and like I said, I'm getting nitpicky because of how woke they are. But I feel the need to, because like I said, if you're gonna preach to me about being woke, you better be the wokest person in the room. And if you're not, I'm gonna come for you. So Shawnee, who is black, gets judged harshly by everybody for being with Eric, who is like damaged goods because he's a terrible cheater, right? She doesn't get an original love interest who's like a good guy. And I'm just saying, like, she's the only black character with a love interest. And she gets like the broken, sloppy thirds.
Yeah.
And Cramisha doesn't get like any sort of love arc. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I'm just like, And Shawnee's black magic fixes Eric. Black girl magic fixes Eric. I'm just
We'll
saying.
get there.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's a little racist if you
Yeah,
ask me.
Her black girl magic has made him monogamous, even though Zoe's issue with Eric was that he wanted her to be monogamous in return.
Yeah. And she
no.
literally cheated on him in front of his face.
Not with one, but with 3 people.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Was
not
she
one,
still dating
not
Eric when
twice.
Stark got in?
Yes.
She was, yes.
When she made out? Oh, she was when she made out with Stark when he changed.
Yeah, no, but she was also having it wasn't even thrice. I wish there was like a 4 for like, you know, once, twice, thrice. There's not a 4 one, but it was 4 because she also kind of cheated on him with Kelowna because remember Kelowna was like feeling her boobs and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, Eric's the dirty cheater.
Because only girls can cheat, and it's fine. Don't you know that? Girls can just do whatever the fuck they want in this
Yeah,
society.
but like in that bit though, like in the matriarchal society, she has the right to have multiple, you know, people without being judged and slut shamed. It's like, yeah, but only if the multiple people consent to it.
Yeah,
and
we
none of
talked
them
about that.
ever consented. But that we talked about that heavily.
Eric explicitly was against it. That Stark and Heath were willing to make compromises for each other.
Yeah, first, yeah.
We'll put up with each other type thing if we have to, and we do, so I guess. But Eric from the get-go was just like, no, this is not okay.
Yeah.
Even real life
But he's the
polyamorous people make a distinction between like infidelity that is okay and infidelity that's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like people that are in, like, I guess, like if there's 3 people that are in the triad, you can, you know. But that's it as well, though. Like a lot of those things, like if it's a guy with 2 women and he's got a relationship with each of the women, if they then form a relationship, that can fuck up the entire thing as well. Like everything needs to be discussed and open and honest, and rules need to be in place.
Yeah, like so even in real life situations like that, this would not be okay.
No,
Zoe's
if
still
you
the bad guy.
Yeah, if you were living in a triad and then one of the triad brought another person home, and they're like, "Oh, this is the new one," the other two are well within their rights to go. But why?
Yeah,
But
but like
no,
we
I don't
didn't.
want it. Yeah.
But like we didn't consent. Yeah, exactly. Like you're still cheating.
Yeah, unless you have an explicitly non-exclusive relationship, anything outside that relationship is cheating.
Right, because unless you're like you can literally do anything you want.
And that's the thing as
Eric's
well.
greatest sin, wanting
With-
Zoe to keep her pants on. Exactly.
Yes.
It is. That is his character flaw.
And, you know, let's just discuss that part of it because we'll just skip over it when we get to that part, like the Eric thing. But, like, because they're like, oh, so is Eric being a good boy type thing? And she's like, yeah, I told him we don't have to be exclusive. We can just have fun. But he just doesn't want anyone else. And they're like, wow, Eric's changed.
Yeah, and it's like he's never cheated on any of you.
Yeah.
He never cheated on Aphrodite. He never cheated on Zoe. He just wanted them to be monogamous. And now he's found a girl that's like, yeah, you know, I'm not trying to get like serious with you, dude. He's just like, but I want to get serious with you. I don't want to get serious with the girls.
And then Zoe's like, I've never seen him like devoted to someone. I'm like, he worshipped the ground that you walked on.
For months. Eric before Stark, and because I don't count Heath because Heath's garbage, was her longest relationship was Eric.
And then he walked in on her banging a professor.
Yeah. The night that he changed into a vampire. And so he dumped her.
But he's a bad guy, yo.
Yeah, he is. He's horrible. He's a horrible person.
So I guess
And I still love her explanation for that. I only cheated on you because I thought he wanted to be with me forever. Why won't you forgive me? Because he lied to me.
God damn. I just
House of Night, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, slow clap. Just
I can't even slow clap. I'm just shaking. I'm literally shaking my head, guys.
we're not even to chapter 1.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Another thing in the preface as well is just a little note. Damien has been struggling with depression since he was a child.
Yeah, they
No
throw
one
that
knows
in there.
Which my note for this is pretty much just like, I'm not surprised, but I take it this is going to play a role in the book. We'll see how they.
Yeah, since they've
this.
never mentioned it ever before, ever showing any signs of it before. You know, since he so very easily got over his dead boyfriend after 1 week.
But then he spent the last 10 months not
with that
being
boyfriend.
over him.
Yeah.
I'll just say, I think all three of us, as we get into this, are going to have some rants about how they deal with every single mental health issue that rocks up in this book.
Yes.
And we'll get into it as it pops up because there is so much to say.
Yeah, it's mostly between Damien and Aphrodite.
And none of it is handled well.
No.
Yeah.
And we'll get there.
Okay, so chapter 1, she's in a dream. Okay. It starts off with like, you know, the dream started innocently enough and then it started to change, but there was nothing that made me think nightmare. And then we go through the whole dream and I'm like, in what way was this a nightmare?
I don't care.
Don't you Kelowna dance? It wasn't.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Kelowna, but it's the closest we get to him this entire book, okay? Even though it wasn't him.
Yeah. But like, and again, this is some sort of nitpicky thing, but like, just like, I waited for my imagination. Like, I don't think they understand that until there's something that makes you realize it's a lucid dream. You don't lucid dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
don't understand how anything works.
Yeah, but she's like, I waited for my imagination to conjure something awesome like a tea party. And by tea, I mean brown pop. And it's like, I'm just going to go shut that door.
Okay.
But that's not how lucid dreaming works either. If you're lucid dreaming and you want a brown pop tea party, you get a brown pop tea party.
Mhm.
That's what happens. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah. And so she's sitting there like lucid dreaming, except she's not, because they haven't, like, honestly, I'm convinced that they've never existed and that they haven't ever walked to like a mailbox before. Because I think that's how little life experience they've had based on these books. So Kelowna Dream and over explaining the color white.
Yeah.
Because
we spoke about this yesterday as well. Like when they were describing his wings, they were like, it was white, but really not really white. It was more like different shades of light to create white. And it's like, okay, so it was
like
pearlescent.
Like an opalescent color. And like the thing is, and this is another thing that I think furthers Addie and I's theory that Kelowna's Fall was written by someone else. In Kelowna's Fall, they were like, it was pearl colored and that was it. They just expect you to understand that it's like light hits it and it's like the color of the moon, done, right? Because like you understand that like they're basically white, but like a silvery white that's like bing and like right?
Yeah.
And like you understand that because you're not a fuckwit. But no, here we have to over explain the fucking color like dumbwits.
All they had to do was say silver white pearlescent.
Yep.
But no,
Silver
we have
white
to sit here for 10 minutes explaining the fucking color. And then also, my note is trying to be woke and then saying that white is better than black.
Yep. Okay, but Colin is there and he's like, hi, danger is coming. You need to go find Nefret's journal because I think she's stirring, but Nyx doesn't want me to be here, so don't tell Nyx I came. Essentially is what happens. And he also meets her in the place that he used to torment her back in fucking whatever book it was.
They're on the island of Capri, which is where she like suicided to get out of the dream and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But also, right, we've established Kelowna never wears a shirt, right? And then
he wears a shirt.
But then Zoe's like, why are you creeping on me? And he's just like, I'm not creeping. And she's like, well, friends wear shirts when they visit friends, unless they're trying to be a different kind of friendly. And it's like, or it's Kelowna's trademark that he doesn't clothe.
He has wings, bruh. You know how hard it'd be to put on a shirt with his wings?
Like, but it's not like it's unusual for him to be shirtless.
No, it's not. He's been shirtless for how many books has he been in? 8 or 9 of the books?
He chilled out in the snow daily without a shirt on. Because he's a demigod. They finally actually use the word for it in this book. They actually say he's a demigod, and it's like, finally, you worked out what the fuck a demigod is.
Yeah, like, he has never worn a shirt, but she's like, oh no, he is not in a shirt. How gross.
Which, also, her first little red flag, little exclamation point over her head like, oh, this isn't actually Kelowna talking to me, should have been when he put on a fucking shirt.
Yeah. It's like,
and also, with the fact
are you feeling okay?
I didn't tell Nyx I was coming here. Like, also, like, he's been in love with Nyx for thousands of years. He's not just going to go behind her back and risk everything he's found with her again to go visit you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Oh, no, I read that and I was like, one of my notes is, this is not Kelowna. Yeah, I was like, I don't think it was actually Kelowna.
Yeah, one of my notes as well, when the diary gets brought up, my notes like, I may reserve judgment, but currently I'm thinking the journal should have been released between the 2 series, like as a prequel to this one.
That's how I feel about it too.
And with something fucking relevant in it, because for the life of me, I can't think of anything that would be relevant to literally anything that's going to happen.
I completely agree. Like, no, because they know the story of what happened to Nefret, how she was brutally raped and marked in the same night. We know. So there's nothing in there that would tell you anything different. And we've talked about how Emily Wheeler, they talked about how they pity her, but they shouldn't pity her, blah, blah, blah. We talked it out completely and redeemed and revealed.
Like, I can't think of all they needed to do in this one, if it's going to help other Kevin, like, defeat Nefret by personalizing Nefret in his world type thing, is to be like, yeah, she got beaten and raped by her dad. It was pretty gross. Go to Sky, get the Seer Stone, and make a mirror. Done.
Well, if we've learned anything about the other world, though, just from this book, it's that like you can't even assume that all the characters even have the same backstory, so it's not relevant
Exactly. Like
anyway.
when Zoe does send him off with, we'll get there, but we're talking about it. She does send him off with the journal, and she says, "Yeah, this might not have even happened to her, but if it did, there you go." And it's like,
also, actually, while we're talking about Kevin, just briefly as well, why is his last name Pepper?
I asked that too.
No, so Zoe explains briefly in one of the things that the stepdad, whose last name was Pepper, adopted him, so his last name changed.
Yeah, but that was after the mum died. The mum's still alive in his world, so his last name should still be Montgomery.
It's a great point. Didn't think of that.
Especially because he hates the guy as well. Why would he consent to his name being changed? Like the courts have to approve that, and because he's a teenager, he would be able to say to the court, "Look, I kind of want to keep. I don't want my last name to be a cow, if that's okay."
I don't want my last name to be a slur for fat women.
Pregnant cows.
Shut up.
Like people call fat women heifers, and I don't want that to be my last name. Like it doesn't make sense for his last name to be Heifer.
Yeah,
his last name is Montgomery.
Yeah, and because also like I would say there would be the possibility of it being Redbird, but because of the dynamics in his world, he wouldn't have gotten the chance to change his name. So it should just be Kevin Montgomery, and his nickname should be Monty, not Hef.
Well, and also it wouldn't have been as obvious at first if they were trying to go for some sort of vagueness that it was Kevin at first.
They should have called him Monty.
Yeah.
And then they could have even, when they were like, Kevin Montgomery did this, and it still would have been, because we kind of forgot that Zoe's last, like I forgot Zoe's original last name was Montgomery.
Yeah. But so chapter 2, this is the only time we see Nala this entire book. But granted, this whole book also is the course of 24 hours. And I wrote, my first real note is, so we remember that her brother exists. What about her sister?
Oh yeah, no, that's my first note too. Is like, did your little brother Kevin that you don't fucking care about? Why do you why don't you care?
Yeah, right.
And we've got, the second chapter as well has multiple references to just remind us that Zoe is a queen.
Yeah.
Also, now Zoe speaks in text lingo. So Zoe, the very mature high priestess, has gotten more immature.
She swears by abbreviation. So if she wants to do a fuck, she goes, "That's creepy AF." It's like, and she WTFs out loud, which, like a lot of people do, and that's fine. Like I do it sometimes too.
Yeah, it depends on who you're around.
But she's supposed to be in charge of literally every vampire
in the country.
Continent.
Yeah, continent.
Yeah.
And
but we don't talk about Canadians.
Like most books,
Canada doesn't exist.
Most books don't really draw that much attention to someone who doesn't swear. Like when Mercy does it with like Adam, it's just like because he stops himself from swearing in front of women.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, but like he doesn't really replace it with something stupid. He's just like, God darn it.
Yeah. There's no bull poopy. It's just if he wants to say bullshit, he'll change it halfway through to bull crap. Which I don't know, like
I don't think he's ever I don't think that's ever actually happened.
Yeah, but like Zoe has no issue with saying crap because we've heard her say, "I'm sick of your crap" many times.
Hell,
why the hell does she say? But even when she says hell, like one of her trademark lines is hell." But then in this book as well, and in a few other books, they're like, "Oh, Zoe said hell. She must really be mad." And it's just like, no, it's just a day that
hell doesn't even exist according to their religion. Because their argument is that it's a place, and it's like, yeah, but it doesn't exist according to your religion.
Yeah.
So it's not a place technically to you. Anyways. So this chapter is just them finding Nefret's curse, and then I don't know if it's this chapter. No, it's next chapter. Okay. When we actually read the novella again, essentially.
Oh, but wait, what is this note? I see a note here. What the fuck is this? Oh, okay, yes. So they're like, oh, we need to look under our floorboards because that's where the book is hidden.
Yeah.
And they're like, and Stark, like, so her and Stark are talking, and Stark's like, oh, so does that mean? Oh, for fuck's sake! Give me a sec. Ah, my mouse just froze.
You're good.
But anyway, Stark's just like, does this mean we have to move the bed? And so it's like, yep. And then it skips to after they've moved the bed. And my note is like, yay, the cast have finally learned how to skip shit. And like the little arms in the air emoji. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to describe every little thing that happens.
Yay! Yeah, they have learned how to skip things like we said, conversations and like recaps, because in other books, whenever a character is like, you know, if it was like somebody needs to tell someone something, we would have to actually sit there and listen to it. Whereas in this book, it's like, and then they told them the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I was pleasantly surprised with that.
Same.
I was like, oh my god, you guys are so cute. You figured it out. It only took you 13 fucking books.
Yeah, right. But we do have in chapter 3 when they go
Wait.
to eat.
I'm gonna see if it pops up. So it's like Emily Wheeler's journal, and then crossed out has Nefret's curse, and then my note is literally, I don't know if you can see it. It's literally just laughing emojis.
Honestly, the fact that it's canonically Nefret's curse is one, stupid, and two, doesn't actually make any sense.
I wrote, oh my god, this is way too meta for me. I was like, this doesn't make sense. It's too meta. Like I get
the fact that it's Nefret's journal, like, because most people's journal, I don't know if like I keep a journal. Like you guys know that I personally keep a journal, and my journals don't have a place for me to put in there like Teresa's journal. I don't know. I'll call myself Aphrodite because fuck it. Aphrodite's curse. Like that's not a place. There's not even a place for me to put it in the journal.
Yeah.
Like so. What?
And it gets even more meta later. I can't remember who thinks it, but someone is like has the thought thinking about Neferet's curse and Kelowna's fall.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I was just like,
I was like, stop this. You're not being clever. This is just weird. But I wrote down, I don't think Cremation should be allowed to teach because she's a teacher.
Okay. Speaking of Cremation, that's my next note.
She has
a quote.
Because the way she talks, I'm like, she
has Beyonce braids, by the way. They make Cremation so like, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with like making a character obviously black. Like there's obviously, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But they go over the top to make her as stereotypically black as humanly possible.
Yeah.
To the point where, look, obviously I'm not black, but I feel like if I were black and reading this, I'd be like,
fucking really?
You know, like there are two black characters in this, and you do a shitty job with both of them.
And even the most like culturally black person, they can still speak proper English when needed.
And especially when she is a
prophetess. Yeah, poet laureate, whatever.
Poet laureate,
and she's teaching the poetry class at school. She's the poetry teacher. And direct quote, if you had to read the awful poems them kids be writing in my class, you know that we in a war, a literacy war. My note is if I have to read one more of Cremish's poems, I'm starting a real life fucking literacy war.
Well the other
get
thing
ready,
about
we have one.
The other thing about like stuff like that is, first of all, as far as authoring goes, you know not to do that with people's speech. But another thing is like, as far as actual African-American vernacular English goes, as someone who has taken like sociology courses, the one thing that has been at least said to me a number of times is that most people who typically speak like African American vernacular English is that usually they can switch between that type of speech and typical like
proper
English, so to speak, like if you want to call it that. And so
but
grammatically correct English.
But also just I'm gonna read this quote again just because of what she's talking about and how she says it. If you had to read the awful poems them kids be writing in my class, you'd know that we be in a war, a literacy war.
Yeah. It's like, but you're saying.
But you're not speaking English while you say it.
Yeah. Child, can you decide where the heck you want to be? Because she's like right where my headphones go, and she keeps on stepping on them.
Yeah. And Aphrodite is also now, this is in chapter 3. Aphrodite is now full-fledged alcoholic. She downs her orange juice for her mimosa on the side as a shot.
Yeah.
And she's like, why would I want to dilute my champagne with juice? And it's like, that's what you did last series. You were happy to drink mimosas.
Yeah, that was one of SDA's biggest complaints to me, and like mine back to her is also just like the way that they portray substance abuse. Just doesn't make sense.
Typically, like I think I speak for all three of us when I say this. Their portrayal of substance abuse is abhorrent and is ridiculous. And another thing is that, just because I think most people know this, but I guess I'll say it anyway, substance abuse is typically under the table. It's not typically out in the open. Yeah. And because most people are, like, your pain is very private, you know? Like, you don't do these things.
Especially Aphrodite's.
Yeah, especially someone with the personality of Aphrodite. Like, you don't do these things out in the open. Typically, people who portray...
Yeah.
Typically,
Aphrodite
people who
wouldn't be an alpha. She'd be a pill popper. Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, she's both, but...
who display this type of behavior in public are going to be teenagers. Because teenagers,
like 21.
Teenagers are the kind of people who will do this kind of thing in public because they're more likely to do things as a cry for help. And I'm not saying that as like teenagers are bad. I'm just saying like that's how teenagers behave.
Yep.
Which is actually
they do it in public because they think it's cool.
Yeah, which is actually more helpful for the people around them because it's easier to know that a teenager needs help. But for adults typically do these things in private. And it's usually harder to tell that an adult needs help. So an adult who is either an alcoholic or popping pills, you're not just going to see Aphrodite like
and
Xanax.
Let me tell you as well, Aphrodite shouldn't be one. She wouldn't be an alco. She would have alcohol, but not like she'd probably still have daily alcohol, but a couple of glasses of wine type thing.
Yeah.
But she also wouldn't be popping Xanax. She would be popping Oxy.
Yeah.
Because if you've got an addiction problem, like Xanax just doesn't do it.
Not only that, they also describe her doing Xanax dry. And I don't know if you've ever taken a Xanax.
No.
But Xanax has to be one of the worst tasting medication. Like Xanax, if you take it with like anything to drink, you can still taste it.
Yeah, when I used to have to take when I was taking Ritalin, I would always have to put it under my tongue so I couldn't taste it, then have the drink and then tip my head forward to get it up and around and then tip my head back to avoid touching my tongue with it.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those that like you couldn't take it dry even if you wanted to. Like no matter how addicted to it you were, like I think you'd have to already be like out of your mind high to get it down that way, or you'd have to take it some other way, you know, to take it dry.
I will say as well, there's a reason why ibuprofen is generally has the sugar coating on it.
Oh yeah,
because I had ibuprofen once without the sugar coating, and I was just like, what the fuck is that?
I've had to, whenever I get sick, my old school would prescribe antibiotics with ibuprofen, which it was like the hefty boy ibuprofens, You know, like I think the 800 milligrams where they don't have sugar coatings on them. Fucking worse. I mean, they stick to your tongue and then they stick to your throat, and it's just disgusting.
And then they start dissolving all over your tongue.
Yeah, exactly. And Xanax is exactly like that. Because I don't ever talk about this, but like I've had anxiety issues in the past, and like I've been prescribed Xanax, and I hate it, and I don't take it because of that reason. It's not worth it. I'm like, it makes me want to vomit every time I have to take it. I'm like, I don't even want it. I'm like, I'll go talk to my dog. I don't want to take it. Like, that's how bad it is. So when they describe her taking it dry, I'm like, before you describe a character taking Xanax dry, you go eat a pill of Xanax, please. Like,
you can tell that the casts are just
like you can tell that they have never dealt with anything, and they're like, you can tell that they've never walked to their own fucking mailbox, okay? Like that they've never struggled with walking out of their front door, let alone anything in life. Or like, because here's the thing, I'm not even saying this as like, or I don't think we are saying this as like people who've struggled with stuff. Like, just everybody on the planet has either been through a thing or seen people in their life go through a thing or has the ability to Google. And the fact that they did this so poorly is astounding to me.
Well, especially
sorry.
with the like, there's the outro to Nefert's Curse that I referenced when we talked about it, where PC Cast like comes out and says that she experienced something not totally similar to what happened, but she has experienced some sort of sexual assault like that. Where it's like, okay, you have probably been really fucked up for a while, so you should probably know how to describe people being really fucked up.
Yeah,
right.
But she doesn't.
No.
Yeah, and also the fact that like any major publishing house would put this out.
The fact that it got greenlit for season 2.
Well,
first.
That and the fact that it's not heavily edited, because most, if you know anything about publishing, and I just know this from, my own publishing experiences and having looked it up and comparing the two, most published things that are done through major publishing houses are heavily edited.
Yeah, they go through multiple rounds of editing.
So how a lot of this gets through, and
like,
also.
You don't have you as the author don't have a lot of control over what happens. Most things that are actually put out through major publishing houses, what you're actually reading is the brainchild of the editor, not the author.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for something that went through a major publishing house, and the ebook, there are so many misspells, just general typos. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they completely like misnamed someone. 100%.
They called Lauren.
They misspelled Lauren. They spelled it like Lauren instead of Lauren, whatever.
Yeah, like I'll just type it in chat. Like his name is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they spell it.
Which they got it right once and then fucked it up the second time. There's missing quotation marks. There's missing spaces. There's missing commas. I mean, there's missing everything.
They've done this in a previous book as well, at least once, but they accidentally called Neferet Nyx.
They accidentally refer to Aaron as Stevie Ray. So like but in this book it's a lot worse.
And there are a number of ways, even when you're like self-editing, to like get around this one.
Just give me one sec. Sorry, just in the book that it was. The correct spelling is Lauren. Like the first spelling that's in the chat. It's been that way like the whole thing, which makes sense. That's the masculine spelling of
Lauren.
That name. But then in this book, the second time they mention him, it's spelled like the feminine spelling. Yeah.
So who spelled it wrong? I don't know if it was the cast. It was probably the cast, and then the editors just didn't catch it or something like that. But I don't know how. Like that's a major error. It's like when they changed Jack's last name from Swift to Twist. Actually, I think it was from Twist to Swift and
Twist
back to
Swift. Yeah, that at his funeral they accidentally called him Swift.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is that like a lot of the issues are things. Sorry, and this is just something that you can catch when you're self-editing by slowly reading your manuscript out loud. And then also when you're self-editing, if you just chuck it into something like Grammarly, These are things that'll get caught. These
Yeah.
are also things that get caught if you go into any word processor and just tell it to check grammar for you.
Or
any word processor.
Beta reading.
Yeah.
They definitely have beta reading.
Yeah. Like
your beta reader should have caught this too.
Kristen is the beta reader.
Yeah, like
That's her role in these novels. She's the beta reader.
Like our beta
Well,
readers,
Kristen.
our beta readers check stuff. Like they catch stuff all the time.
But yeah, and they're like, "Hey, you misspelled this," or like, "Hey, this isn't the correct word for what you're talking about."
Yeah.
Constantly.
Right. And like, you know, and we're not even on like the final draft of something,
No.
but even those
No,
notes
no.
are helpful for us to just
Yeah,
be like,
'cause-
you completely
also
missed
when
this
you're-
punctuation. Like, you know, because
like,
that happens when
'cause-
you're just, you know?
Yeah, because I was trying to find as well, because there's a thing about Darius's age in this. And
Mhm.
I swear I remember reading that he's the age that he looks.
Yeah, I swear
I
that
don't-
too.
And
I
I was trying to find that, and just searching for his name, like you know, in the books and everything.
Yeah.
I gave up after going through 2 books, but searching for his name, by the end of it, I was convinced the name was spelled wrong. So I understand how they can make these like a lot of these mistakes because they're so close to it. And that's what happens, but that's why you bring in third parties to go over.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
the thing is, well, that's how it is with anything. I mean, any author can tell you this. No matter how many people read your book, the one certainty in an author's life is fucking typos. Because
Well, exactly.
because the other thing too is that when it comes to the actual printed work, some typos are actually just misprints.
Yeah.
Where it's an actual printing error. So even if the typo isn't in like what you submit, it can be a printing error. So typos are just a thing that fucking happens.
But this book is riddled with them to the point where
And
it's an ebook version
And
too.
continuity.
And
errors.
continuity errors.
Yeah, like these are just things that happen. And sometimes it's inevitable, and there are sometimes when it's just not really like it's obviously your fault, but it's not your fault, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's so egregious.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was just like a couple things here and there, like in Morganville, I can't remember. I think they called someone by the wrong name in a scene a couple times, you know, throughout the 15 books. But you forgive that because it's a one-off here and there. With this, it's like every chapter there's usually at least 2.
Yeah.
Well, and like even when I was reading before, like when we started, when I found out that there was season 2, I went on Goodreads and like looked at the reviews and stuff like that. And one of the biggest complaints was the fact that there were so many grammar errors in this. And I was like, but no, there really are so fucking many. Just a lot. Just a lot.
Yeah. It's
My brain just wanted that.
and I'd be more forgiving if they were self-published, but they're not.
Yeah. But they go through, they're major enough authors that they have been New York Times bestsellers. They have a TV deal. They had a movie deal at one point. Like they are pretty major authors for YA.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, like, even if you're published through a major publishing house, if you're not one of the top names, they still might not give you one of the best editors. So you still might have a lot of these issues. So it's best to get your manuscript professionally edited yourself and before you submit it, just in case, because you don't know like what editor they're going to give you. And that's just one of the things that comes with like publishing through a publishing house. So it's best to get like a third party editor in just in case, because you never know. But with them, I'm just really shocked that they're not heavily edited.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like let's be honest, even a third-rate editor would have caught most of this.
Would have at least certainly caught the Laura and Laurent thing.
Well, because I would imagine like because I know that when I edit for people, I double check myself by checking it into grammar software.
Yeah.
Because when you have those tools available to you,
Why not?
Yeah, like
work
you read it
smarter,
yourself,
not
your
harder.
first pass through, and your second
Yeah,
pass
and-
through, put it in grammar.
And it works out cheaper for you in the long run as well, because then when you send your manuscript to the editor, they don't have as much to edit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there's no
So,
reason not to.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, proofreading is hard. And when you're proofreading, like, 100,000 words, it doesn't matter how many people read it. They're going to miss something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Which is-
in the Outlander series, I've counted at least 2 or 3, but those are like 1,500-page books. So it's like, I fucking understand.
Yeah, like, and again, if it's a once in a blue moon type thing, like, you're like, I can forgive that. But when it's a multiple times a chapter thing, it's
also like, this is probably what, a 350-page book, and the fact that yes, it's 1 or 2 times a chapter, and it's also major enough issues that we've been talking about it for this long, where it's like we shouldn't have to talk about how shitty your editing is for 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, and
like,
because it's something that software can catch.
Yeah, probably about 80% of the issues in this book, in terms of grammar, spelling, etc., software would have caught it.
Yeah,
and you should use it. You should use the tools available to you. It can help you. And there's no shame in it. Look, when you're like speed typing, it's gonna happen. There's nothing wrong with it. This shit happens.
There's a reason why SDA and I read our manuscripts like 15 times before they even got to beta readers.
Yeah,
and we still miss an ass ton of things when they go to the beta readers. Of course
you do, because you're the one reading it. And here's the thing, your brain, there's a reason why there's those like posts on social media like, oh, isn't it amazing that your brain can still read this? Yeah, because your brain does that for you. It's one of those nice things that your brain does for you. And when you're that close to something, your brain's going to do it because your brain knows what it says. So you're not going to catch it when you're the one reading it because you're the one who fucking wrote it. And that's okay. It's not your fault. That's
why people need editors.
Exactly. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're a human being. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Should we go back?
Yes. Anyways, end of chapter 3. They're gonna go to Nefret's grave.
Yeah.
Oh, but a couple notes.
Oh, I had spaghetti madness, huh?
Yeah.
Not spaghetti.
Yeah,
no,
mine's like
spaghetti's later.
Mine's good. She remembered. She knows how to say spaghetti like she's an adult.
Oh yeah, but it goes away later.
I know.
It goes away.
But and this is just a thing that I just find like she's trying to be all grown up, but it's actually like one of the most childish things ever. So it's like says to the waitress in her dining hall, I want a brown pop and make it a double. And the waitress is like, so a glass of pop and a glass of ice. And she's like, yep and yep. I'm like, that's not what a double is.
I know, right? A double means 2 shots.
Yeah, so if she, so in that context, if she was going to say, make my brown pop a double, it'd be like, so you want 2 brown pops then?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Or you want it in a really big glass?
Yeah, like that joke only works if like you have a bunch of people ordering shots and you're like, and I'll have a double shot of water. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for those kinds of jokes, and it doesn't
work. Especially for Zoe's personality, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. When they start reading the journal, it's like, we get to read like the first paragraph of the journal.
Yeah, we read like the first and last paragraph.
Yeah, everything's okay.
But she's just like, I know this is the quote from the journal. I know my thoughts are not precious jewels. I've begun to suspect my thoughts are quite mad. And then Aphrodite is like, ding, ding, ding. That's the correct answer.
Yeah, I know, right? There are some things that Aphrodite says that I'm just like, I love you so much, dude.
Yeah, we stand that.
Yeah, my note is like, okay, yeah, no, I stand that, and probably just that.
Yeah.
So we meet up with Darius to go to Nefret's grave, and when we get there, Aphrodite's mother is having a press conference announcing that she's going to run for mayor. And what's her slogan, guys?
Make Tulsa strong again. And this is where we get into a lot of like the wokeness of it. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. Like, political allegory is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There are a lot of good books that are political allegories for things that, like, I either agree or disagree with. That is not the point. The point is that if you're going to do a political allegory, you need to do it well.
Yeah.
Oh, there is so poorly done.
Yeah. So this whole political allegory metaphor thing that isn't really that. It's literally just a copy and paste of
Cheers, guys.
real life type thing.
Fucking
It
cheers.
starts off with, if we remember in season 1, Shiro Kimiko, or however the hell you say her name, was like the golden girl, and they loved Fox News. Fox News were the only ones that gave them a chance, and this and that, you know.
Yes.
In this one, Mrs. LaFont is like, "Oh, Shiro Kimiko, so lovely to see you. It's a shame you're with Channel 2 now instead of Fox." And she's like, "Well, thank you, but I think that reporters should report the news and not fabricate it."
And Oklahoma is I'm not good on colors, even though I'm an artist.
Yeah, red.
It's red state, right? STA?
Yeah.
It's a red state. So, and they're from said red state. And they're
and
making fun of their red stateness.
Yeah, and so they're like, she's like, Tulsa needs to, get better and this and that, and they're
we
like,
need to get rid of the
"But
vampires.
and she's like, but Mrs. LaFont, Tulsa has spent the last year working with them, and we're all doing all this great stuff, and rah rah rah, and yay us. So what? And then she's like, so what's your platform? And she's like, well, that's simple, make Tulsa strong again. And I just lost it. I was like crying, laughing for about 10 minutes. I called this after about 5 minutes. Like, it took me about 5 minutes to have enough composure to call.
Well,
and then it took me about another 5 minutes to say it.
The problem is that, it was funny. But, like, the problem with this is not that, like, you're criticizing Republicans or anything like that.
Yeah,
that's not the issue.
That's fine. Yeah.
The problem is that it doesn't make any sense because
you are making Aphrodite's mother Trump.
Yes, that. And then the problem is that the implication with, like, make Tulsa strong again is that you're implying that Tulsa was, like, some military powerhouse, which no city in the United States is a military fortress. So it doesn't make any fucking sense. And, like, what? No,
most major cities, like most capitals and stuff like that, they don't even have a military base there. Atlanta is a mild exception, but they have an Air Force Reserve base in Marietta. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Like, it's not...
Which doesn't make...
stuff like that.
Which doesn't make Atlanta... But nobody thinks of Atlanta as, like...
a military powerhouse.
Because it's not.
No capital city is, I don't think.
Right, because it doesn't make any sense. Because also the thing is with at least modern, with like the modern US, just to go further into this, we are not really into martial law these days. So any sort of strong, genuine military presence would not, other than just like support the troops, is not actually popular with the American people anyway.
Can you just imagine though as well in Oklahoma trying to create a military state, like in any southern state in general?
But also like think about this too.
Surrounded by people that love their Second Amendment.
Yeah. And imagine even going to a blue state and being like, yeah, let's make this a military powerhouse. They'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, yeah, because here's the other thing too. Like in a red state, if you were to be like, the state's going to be the military powerhouse, every single Republican would be like, excuse me?
They'd be like, militia, let's go.
They'd be like, no. Like, I'm sorry. Every single grassroots Republican would be like, no. We are the military powerhouse. You can get the fuck out.
Yeah,
like,
I got more guns
have our
than
Second Amendment to fight against the state. This is the thing: is like whenever you do a political allegory, and I'm just going to say this for any author ever, you need to understand both sides of the issues, because this is the case in any good book. In any famous book that has a political message to it, like Animal Farm, 1984, whatever. Yeah. They have a very clear understanding of what they're talking about, which is why they work.
And it's also
because if they don't, then it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You can't criticize things. You can't accurately criticize things that you don't understand.
And it's also a line to bring your own political views into books anyways.
Yeah. And
not doing it well. Continue.
Yeah. Like, and depending on the specific issue she has, like Mrs. LaFont has with the vampires, it kind of goes into like they're kind of a metaphor for one of two things. One of them is, I guess the politically correct term is undocumented immigrants, because she wants to deport them all.
Yes, essentially. She wants to literally just deport them, essentially from Tulsa.
Yeah, and then I guess the other one would be Muslim, because Neferet, she's attributing Neferet's actions to every vampire.
Yeah.
And
even though Neferet publicly severed.
Yeah, but it's just all done so poorly. And it's just, but it's also like, it's like they've turned Aphrodite's mother into a caricature of Trump.
Yes.
Which again is why it doesn't work. And like I said, it has nothing to do with I think either with any of our personal political views, because look, there are right-wing, like I think there's a book called Trigger Warning, which is a horrible right-wing book because it's also done very poorly. Like there are plenty of political books on both sides that are like fiction books that are done poorly because people, they're like, oh, I'm going to take this political message and fucking run with it, and I'm going to do a bad job. And it's like, way to make yourself look like a fucking idiot. But when you just make yourself look like a fucking clown.
Yeah, like I will say, like you can have politics involved in your show or book or movie or anything, as long as it's done well. I don't care. Like I'm gonna give an example of is actually really well balanced. I don't think it would ever get made today because it showrunners are generally incredibly left wing, and this actually shows Republicans in a relatively favorable light, like it's balanced. But Brothers and Sisters, it was a very political show. Like half the family was Democrat, half were Republican.
Yeah.
And that was some major subplots, or in fact, actual plots of each episode was their political views clashing. But it was done really well, and I didn't care. And then also, like, How to Get Away with Murder, like, wokest freaking show ever, right?
Yeah.
But the story is so good. Like, Stixie and I love How to Get Away with Murder. There's times where we're just like, oh, God, kill me. Well, you know, because of the...
Right.
Like when they say some particular stuff, but it's also like I don't care, though. I can forgive that because I enjoy the actual show itself.
Well, the other thing too is like in the Mercy Thompson books, you pretty much know where Patricia Briggs lies, because political stuff is brought into it, but it's also brought into it sometimes in a way that's like, all right, calm down.
But that's how a lot of pop culture is.
Story to have her rant.
But yeah, because sometimes the rants are just like in there in a way that's like really shoehorned in. But in a lot of cases, the way that the allegories are put in is so relevant to the plot
that you don't care.
That it's fine. And like that's how you should do it, because like it shouldn't matter how I feel. It matters how it's done. Also,
generally when the things are shoehorned in like a Mercy book, it's like, yes, we know. The only person who would think otherwise is literally a terrible person, like the dog fighting one.
Yeah.
For example. But like generally though, with the other stuff, and in a lot of books, shows, movies, whatever, that have it done well, there's nuance to it, because politics, viewpoints, values, all of that stuff, they are fluid, they are nuanced, they are flexible. Sometimes they're contradictory, and if they're portrayed in that way, but House of Night does it in such a black and white way. Like if you don't think
you know what? I think a great way to put it is they do it like a Twitter argument.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's
or it's
not
just you are one or the other, and that's
like in this, right? Unless you think that Nyx is the Virgin Mary, if you're Christian, you're an evil person.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's not how it works. That's not how this works at all.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it just doesn't, and also just in context of the universe, it doesn't make any sense either. Because also when you think about it, like the people of Tulsa, like the humans of Tulsa, if you wanted to actually get nuanced with it, wouldn't it make sense for them to be highly concerned about the vampires no matter what? Because of the fact that one of them did try to become an immortal. But then they were like, okay, we'll work with the vampires, but also we're kind of wary of this whole magic thing.
Well, yeah, because they have powers.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's like they had powers and like, yeah, you did help. But also we're concerned because even if you did help, your like it makes
We've
sense.
Seen the powers that you had to help.
And right, because for example, like in the Mercy books, I'll say this again, it's handled very well because Mercy is like, I don't think they should be discriminating against us. But then again, the Fae can be pretty fucking evil. So
like when the thing that kicked off, for example, in Mercy, like them wanting to start registering the Fae, or well, not start, but get more intense on registering everything, was after a Fae killed a senator's son on live TV and declared war against the humans.
Exactly.
So of course they're going to be like, well, this is scary as fuck. I know a Fae, he's lovely, but the Fae in general do scare me. And I think vampires, I think you can have good relationships in the context of this story. Yeah, sure. Have good relationships with the vampires you know and stuff like that, but be wary of the species because, again, like Neferet has shown them that Nyx will give gifts to people who can turn evil, and she won't take them back.
Well, and like we just said,
people can kill 1,200 people in a freaking weekend.
Well, and also in the Mercy books too, it's handled quite well because, like we just said, Mercy always acknowledges that from the perspective of the humans, the Fae are absolutely wild cards. It's like herding cats. They can control the fucking weather. They can take down the Columbia Bridge. They can do all these things. The fact that the humans are wary of them is not unfounded, and she completely acknowledges this.
Yeah, she also acknowledges that it's smart, and same with the werewolves as well. Like when they started coming out, they're like, "Look, let's try and get a good spin on this as possible." But when a human's like, unless it's a human that's like Mercy's obviously upset when like people are actually politicking to round them all up and put them in like a cage type thing, because she knows them, she was raised by them, all that stuff. But she also acknowledges, yes, when a werewolf goes bad, it's pretty scary. So it's probably smart that humans aren't trying to pet us all the time or pet them all the time.
Right, because she gets it from the human perspective, you know,
and she can separate her own personal feelings from
exactly. Because the thing is, too, as much as these things can be allegories for like modern day, etc., when you're taking things that are supernatural powers versus humans, you're basically talking about terrified. Like, you're also talking about like walking nuclear warheads versus people who don't have powers, which is not the same thing as like humans versus humans. It's just not.
No.
You know, the allegory that would make...
It's like throwing a toddler into a hungry lion's den.
Exactly. Like the allegory that would make more sense is like, you know, humans versus humans or like supernatural species against one another. So like the red vampires versus the blue vampires. Like that makes more sense as an allegory than just like, oh, the humans just don't understand us. It's like you guys can actually murder all the humans.
Yeah, and the red vampires especially is something to have a healthy level of fear of, because they might not be able to walk into your house uninvited, but they can stand at your door and make eye contact with you and make you invite them in.
Exactly. So it's like they can actually hurt you. And this is something that the Mercy Thompson series genuinely acknowledges, because they're like, no, they can actually kill humans en masse. And the fact that humans are scared of them makes sense. Like Mercy doesn't like it because she's supernatural. So she also understands the human threat to her, because she's like, you know, human would want to dissect me.
Yeah.
So there's a conflict of interest here. And that is genuinely an issue, because when you have supernaturals versus humans, while you're creating a genuine allegory, you're also introducing elements that in our real world don't exist.
Yeah. Well, and even just to bring it back to like just the baseline of them, I guess like the weirdness of the political thing in there is that, like y'all mentioned, they've been referencing Fox News this entire time, which is notoriously like on like national television is the most conservative network.
Yes.
And they've been using this whole time.
In season 1 they were like all like gay Fox News.
But real quick, I think it's also important to acknowledge that most local stations have like a Fox blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And like a Fox 23, a Fox whatever number is not the same as like the national Fox News network.
Yeah, that's also true. But also they are in a red state. So the Fox, whatever it is in Tulsa, is probably going to be a conservative network there. And
usually they're fairly neutral though. Like local networks are usually not.
Hardcore.
But there's still the stigma or the, when you say
association with it.
Yeah.
That's
like,
what you do.
I mean,
like when you say NBC or ABC, you have that. Okay, well, it's definitely, it leans more to the left. No matter what state you're in, you're going to always assume that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess as well, like, I mean, part of the issue that I have in relating to that is like we don't have like small level.
Mm-hmm.
We just have it's more on like a metropolitan versus rural
I'll be
stations,
right
and that's
back.
it. No worries. And our news is on a state by state basis, not on a city versus.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, but yeah, like I imagine because of the national connotations, like if you thought Fox News, you think conservative, and therefore probably the people that are going for jobs at a local Fox station conservatively inclined.
Exactly.
But it is bizarre that like season 1 they're like yay Fox News, and now they're like, oh no,
yeah,
this is bad.
exactly.
Okay. It's bad.
Exactly.
It's been 8 months. We've disowned Fox News.
It's not great.
No, and the fact that they just skipped, like, again, the book started in 2007 and now we're in 2017 and they're saying that it's 2017. There was already continuity in general, but this has just made it even
but bringing
more.
in politics, because I mean, whoever's president definitely like it dates something. That's a very subtle way to date something. Is to be like, oh, blah blah president, because it's like, okay, well, you have a 48-year window of, oh, this person is there, but you're making this outright Trump reference.
Yeah.
When your book is supposed to be set in 2007, where Trump was still on. Whatever.
Yeah, but then they straight up say in this book as well, it's 2017. And I'm thinking, but why? It should be 2008.
Should be 2008. Yep.
Like,
but it's not.
Like, I'm pretty sure Bush should still be president, yeah?
2000 and it should be 2008. Obama would have just been elected.
Oh, wait, yeah. Sorry.
Literally like the month before.
Yeah, so Clinton is not Clinton. Bush is like.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. But I don't get it.
Where are we?
We were talking about how it should be 2008, so Obama should be president right now. Like a month into presidency right now.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Like just another thing real quick, just with the political stuff, is that as they're going through all of this, and I guess I already said it, but like just because we're talking about it right now because we got into the Aphrodite's mom stuff, like as we're getting preachy, I already said, like, if you're going to preach to me about being woke, you need to be the wokest person in the room. This is where that really comes into play, right? Because they're talking about, like, how woke you need to be. But they're so offensive. And you guys know, like...
yes, that is correct. January 2009.
Sorry.
He was just elected in end of 2008. Yes, check your logic. You're correct. Excuse me.
Sorry.
I forgot. I was very young.
Like, you guys know that I'm not like easily offended, but it's just they are so egregiously offensive in their in their past portrayal of gay people.
Yeah.
And I get that, like, in the early books it was, you know, current year, but they're so egregiously offensive in their portrayal of gay people, black people, and lesbians. And like, even in, like, you know, like I said, the most recent books before this, their portrayal of lesbians and their portrayals of black people, and all that kind of stuff in this book. And so the fact that they're going to preach to us about being woke
and about how Trump is a demon, while they're still being like this.
Adorable.
The last book, and we discussed this, and they did it again in this book as well, where they're like, Eric's such a good white boy for dating a black girl because she's black.
Yeah.
They did it in this book again. And it's like, if you genuinely think that race shouldn't be an issue when it comes to dating, then you don't mention that Eric's being a good boy for dating a black
because
chick.
he's dating a black girl,
Like, it's just, oh, Eric's happy with Shawnee. Great. Not, oh, that's great because she's black.
Like, it is. I think I forget when Moon Called came out, but like, Daryl and Arielle have been an interracial couple since the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's never been like, oh my God, how saintly of them.
Yeah, like it's not even mentioned that they're like conclusion that they're dating, like, because he, like, with him, he is biracial, he's half black, half Chinese, and it's only mentioned in the context of his features. And then the fact that Arielle and Daryl are different races is only mentioned in the fact that, you know, the fact that
you're just
like in their personal
because it's not like in the context of their relationship, it's because she's describing what Arielle looks like.
Yeah.
Right. It's because she's like, Arielle is Hispanic. It's like, that's it.
Yeah, and Daryl's black and Chinese. So
right.
Like,
it's
you just
not
come
like,
to the conclusion on your own.
Right. But it's not like, oh my God, what a saint. What a saint of him to date a Hispanic one. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pointed out too much, where like a true woke person wouldn't point it out constantly. And every time they see that person, they're not going to be like, oh my God, he's so woke.
They need sensitivity readers.
Yeah, no, like, literally all that's needed to promote that you think that interracial dating is okay is you have an interracial couple.
Yep.
Well, and the thing is, like,
that's it. You don't need.
I don't necessarily think that everybody needs like sensitivity readers, because I think for the most part, a lot of authors are tend to be on the liberal side. And so a lot of them do have sensitivity readers. And I don't know that it's necessarily always a necessity, but in this case,
yeah, like
they need it. Like, they need it so hard because
like, I will say, like, I personally am not offended by a lot of the stuff that they have in their book, but I like, because you can acknowledge that something's offensive without being personally offended.
Yeah, like, I'm not personally offended by it, but it's definitely not egregious. Like, this is the thing. For me to point it out, it's got to be bad. Like, it has to be bad. And
it's something that comes up every single stream.
Well,
every single time we talk about House
I think what makes it worse is, especially in this book, the fact that
they're so preachy.
Yes, because if you're going to be preachy, practice what you preach.
Throw rocks in glass houses.
Exactly. And your glass house is made of nothing. It's made of nothing.
It's all shattered glass.
It is, because, like, you're just like, oh, we're very you're a bunch of sanctimonious bitches. And you can't portray mental illness correctly. You can't portray gay
Yeah.
people correctly. You can't portray anybody of color correctly.
Trauma.
You can't do anything right. And you have the fucking balls to preach to anybody about anything. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And I will say as well, like, I would wager that the majority of authors don't need sensitivity readers as well, because what is an author's main goal? For their book to be, like, when people put it, want it to be received by the widest audience as possible. So they generally try and avoid divisive, like, just any sort of polarizing themes in general.
Yeah.
Like, or again, if it is a polarized, portrayed with nuance and pros and cons, like they're portrayed balanced.
Yeah.
Because it is a polarizing thing, and you want to give each, and everyone on both sides of a political divide, they're all human. A lot of them think that they're doing what is right in general. Like, they're not just like, I'm an evil person and I only like the white people type thing. That's not how most conservative people think. It's, no, I think these values are more important for our society than what these values are. And they think they're doing what's right for them and for everyone. And it's just their views on what is right and best are different. And they're nuanced. They're not all bad people on either side. Most of them are not bad people. They're all mostly good people. But in this...
Most people are just trying to move society forward in a productive way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what this book does, though, is it brings up polarizing statements, themes, everything, and just portrays it as a black and white thing, and it doesn't give any consideration to an opposing point of view, which makes it even worse.
Yeah. I mean, even on the topic of religion, and like I said, I know, like, I bring up the Mercy Thompson series, but it's just because it's something that, like, we've discussed a lot. But even, like, on the topic of religion, for example, Mercy is very religious and Adam isn't. And that is handled in such a nuanced way.
Until he was turned.
Right.
And, like, so Adam, I guess, is still religious in the sense that it's not that he has stopped believing in God. He's angry and doesn't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
More along that line.
Right.
Like, he's mad at his God, not...
And then there are people in the universe that never believed in God in the first place, and then there's Mercy. Like, there are a ton of different... because that's how life is.
Mm-hmm. And
because there are so many different people in life, because that's how it works.
And most Christians, right, like of any denomination, unless, like, they're the hardcore, like, where I will say I will concede there are Christians that it's just like you can't get through a 10-minute conversation without God coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say they drive me crazy. But most Christians, though, even if they're incredibly devout, go to church like twice a week, have youth groups and all that crap, Bible studies, whatever. They're people that happen to do that, and they don't meet a non-Christian and go,
yeah,
my faith. They're just like, oh, okay, and if it comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and that's just how it goes. Whereas in this, it's like, for example, the people of faith. Every single people of faith person is just like, if you are not thinking about God of every second of every day and worshiping God,
yeah. And look, Addie and I live in the Bible Belt. You know, like, that's where we live. We live in the South. We live in the Bible Belt. We've met people who we grew up with people who were both evangelical and who were not, who were Christians who were evangelical and Christians who were, normal human beings. Like, believe me, we know how the gradient works. Yeah. And it's because life is messy. Life is incredibly messy.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And the way that the casts handle everything, They handle everything so poorly. And this book is just so like the past books are bad, as you guys know, because you guys have watched our streams.
Mm-hmm.
But this book's so bad. It's so much worse. And it's like hard to believe that it got worse.
Because they had a few years of hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
But it got worse.
And it's like, how did you get older and supposedly wiser and get worse?
Yeah. I mean, and also, right, like, Aphrodite, like, if I was going to ascribe a political party to her, the entire season 1, I would have said she would vote Republican.
Yeah.
If she was going to vote for one of the 2 major political parties, it would be Republican, hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Even her personality. But direct quote from her, because her mum's running for mayor and she's talking about a dead dad now. She's like, I'm super confused. I mean, my father was a decent mayor. Well, if you ignore the fact that he cut taxes for the top 1% and had an abysmal record of allowing big oil to totally screw up our environment, bitch, you live in an oil.
Yep.
Real quick.
My father's Republican shortcomings. I'm like, bitch, you are a Republican.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. Mayors don't deal with oil people.
Mm.
They just don't. I'm sorry, unless you're a mayor with some sort of presidential or congressional, unless like your mayoral candidacy is a stepping stone, you're not dealing with oil moguls. And the other thing too,
well, oil not done in a major city. It's not done in your state's capital city.
Yeah.
well, Tulsa's not the capital city of Oklahoma anyway.
I thought it was.
Mm-mm. It's
Oh,
Oklahoma
okay.
City.
Oh, okay. Well, Tulsa's still like one of the major
It's
cities.
still like what? Yeah. It's like how New York is. Yeah, New York is because New York isn't the capital
Which
of
is
New York,
right.
but it's the first city you think of when you think of New
Yeah,
York.
but like
Yeah.
it
Not
wouldn't
Albany.
be done in the city. Like the Tulsa mayor has nothing to do with drilling in any way.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like that's not how that's just not how local politics works. The other thing you have to think about, and this is just
I've just been informed. Apparently, LA has a major oil field in the middle of the city. So apparently I'm wrong. Never mind, ignore me.
this is another thing that I'm just gonna say as an author to any other aspiring authors that you're gonna have to think about when you're writing characters is you need to think about where the characters are from. Okay. Characters from certain areas are going to have different political views. And this doesn't need to be explicitly stated, but it's just going to change their personalities. It's going to change their views on certain things like guns or whatever, or something like that if it's relevant to the story. Like most urban fantasy characters, for example, like I'm reading a book right now that's an urban fantasy novel. I forget what it's called, and the character's from Houston, Texas. And another character was like, "Oh, you have a gun?" And she's like, "I'm from Houston." Yeah, I have a gun. And
Yeah.
because she's from Houston, and so it makes sense that she has a gun. So, and these are just things that you need to think about because it's well done. Because she's like, "Yeah, I'm from Houston, I have a gun." And because these are things that you need to think about. So a lot of these characters are from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yep. And I was just thinking about something as well, like when we were talking about, like when you brought up regional stuff. Because I know even in a lot of red states, the capital cities still, not even capital cities, major cities, still often can still vote blue.
For sure.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Looking at this map from the 2016 election,
In the
I
middle
don't
of the
think there was a
country,
single, there wasn't a single blue region in Oklahoma.
in the middle of the country, that tends to not be the case.
Yeah. It's like so like Atlanta, but
Atlanta,
hella blue.
absolutely. They meant like Georgia, a lot of people consider to be a purple state because of how blue Atlanta is. Even though Georgia is technically a red state,
Yeah.
a lot of people consider Georgia to be kind of a blue state, even though it really is at its core a red state.
Yeah.
Because it's very nuanced, because that's how life is. Life is nuanced. Oh my God. But you have to consider where people are growing up and the kind of people that they encounter and like all these other things and stuff and things. And also, another thing that I think we've also acknowledged that the cast haven't thought about is that they've kind of done an alternate history where vampires have been common knowledge
for
throughout the
years.
ages, and they haven't thought about how that's going to be integrated into society, where like, again, the Mercy Thompson series, Patricia Briggs really thought about how all of her supernatural creatures integrated into her alternate history so that everything was basically the same. Because here's the thing, with alternate history, you can make things, because it's the easiest way to do it, and we authors like it that way. It's so much nicer when you do it that way. And you know what? It's not a cop-out, because fuck that noise of like making things different. Honestly, genuinely, fuck that noise. But you still have to do the legwork of deciding how it got to be the same way and integrating the supernatural creatures into like the modern universe.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. They didn't think about how that would change anybody's attitudes. And they just didn't think about it. And the other thing too is that younger people do tend to be more liberal. And so like they just don't think about any of these things. And it's mind-numbingly stupid.
Yeah,
it's mind-numbingly stupid.
And just because I think, honestly, I could keep ranting, but I think we're at the point on the politic thing until Aphrodite has her second conversation with her mother later on.
Yeah.
That I think anything else we say is just going to be repeating.
Yep.
Yeah, probably. But like I said, just like from one author to any others.
Like, make your polarizing shit nuanced.
That, and then also just keep in mind where your characters are from, what their political views are, because you can have a character with any political views from anywhere, but where they're from is going to influence what their political views are. And any way you do it is fine. You can have a communist from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're from a red state is going to influence why they're a communist. Does that make sense? Like, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
And you'll find as well that people that are more like that would probably vote Democrat, type thing, but they grew up on a ranch in the middle of Arizona or New Mexico or Montana or something. They're probably still completely fine with guns.
Yeah. Right, because
they grew up around them. They probably learned how to fire a gun before they started.
Because their reasons for being the way that they are going to be different. Like, somebody who grew up in Oklahoma, their reasons for being a Democrat are going to be different
than
from somebody who is from Seattle. Their reasoning is going to be different, even if they arrived at the same conclusion, because of where they're from, and that matters. And you know what? That's what makes people people. But the cats don't care. And that's what's infuriating. I think that's what's so infuriating to all of us.
Yes.
Is that I think it's just the lack of care.
Yeah. At the core.
Yeah. Like, I think that's just what we're all mad about.
Yeah.
Lack of research, especially, too.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess now they're going to go and do a spell.
Yeah, so chapter 5.
I love that we're only on chapter 5.
Yeah,
Aphrodite got a vision that she thought she was in Damien's body because she saw holding a yellow candle, and
that's not even yet. That's not even yet.
Pause. I love that we're 2 hours in.
Oh, that hasn't happened yet. That's right.
I love that we're 2 hours in and on chapter 5.
Yeah.
I gotta be at school by 8 a.m. tomorrow. It's gonna be great.
God.
Did they say the gross flowers next?
Yeah, so the flowers are next. So Aphrodite runs off, and so the media surrounds Zoe and the and co. They start calling old people OP, which in video game speak, OP means overpowered. So to me, they're just overpowered old people.
Yeah,
So-
and that's the thing as well. Like they've started acronyming where they don't need to.
Yeah.
And again, from a like, okay, if you're doing like that's creepy AF or WTF, those two, like AF and WTF, those are commonly known.
Like, you know what that means.
The place. Later on, they're like, oh, Shawnee, are you happy where you are? And she's like, oh, I love NOLA. And I'm like, what the fuck is a NOLA?
The NOLA is pretty common. It's just New Orleans, Louisiana.
I know, but again, they're trying to make it.
Yeah, they're trying to make it more like hip and cool. We're going to NOLA. Yeah, no.
I didn't know what NOLA was.
But again, as an author, you're supposed to, again, try and make, if you're writing an English book, you want it to be accessible to, English readers. And yes, local colloquialisms like Zoe calling it pop, whereas other regions in the US call it soda.
Yeah.
Here we call it soft drink. Or we don't actually refer to
we don't refer to it as a whole
color.
here.
We say I want a Coke or
Yeah.
I want a Pepsi. We don't say I want a brown soda or a brown soft drink.
Exactly. That's how it is here too. It's like you just refer to what you want by name.
Yes.
And
Yeah, like
Coke is
here
predominant.
we I don't think we have like.
And if you don't want to like name drop brands, which they actually don't have an issue with, clearly, because they do it all the time. But you say, I would like a cola.
Yeah.
Because
like at least in the South, I think, because nobody likes Pepsi. Sorry, Peppy.
Yeah, especially in Georgia because it's the home of Coke. Pepsi drinkers are traitors.
Does anyone like Pepsi? I've never met a person that goes, I prefer Pepsi to Coke.
I know a few people.
I do, but they're all from the West Coast.
I know a few people, but their parents are all from like the East or West Coast. Or not by East Coast, I mean like north, like Massachusetts, Connecticut, like that area.
I know people that prefer Pepsi Max to Coke, but I've never met anyone that prefers Pepsi to Coke.
I know a few people.
Yeah, I've met a
They are
few.
weird. They are weird.
But it's typically they're not from here. They're not from
If you're
South.
from Atlanta and you're like Pepsi is okay, you're a fucking traitor.
Well, yeah, like my school
You're
only
a traitor
served
to
like
the South.
Pepsi, and I'm in the South still.
You're
and
a traitor to the Confederacy.
If
you
you serve
prefer Pepsi to Coke.
Yeah. I will say there's actually a few because you know how like fast food places have like they either get their stuff from Coke or Pepsi.
Yeah.
Like Taco Bell. Their Sierra Mist bullshit.
But they have Baja Blast, so I forget
Yeah,
them.
they do.
There have been times where I've been like in a food court or something. I'm like, oh, I could go that. Oh, but they do like KFC, for example. They do Pepsi. And I'm like, I would like KFC, but I really want to drink too. Let's get something else.
That's the Chick-fil-A on campus here is a Pepsi Chick-fil-A because my campus is Pepsi.
Oof.
It's because Chick-fil-A, if I'm not mistaken, is also from Georgia, from like South Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
The
But reasons, like there is a reason that I imagine it's the same over there. Pepsi is always cheaper than Coke.
It is. So,
So
a side note, if you want to go into the restaurant business, Coke will not give a fuck about you unless you're a chain restaurant or if you like care. Because my dad's in the restaurant business, so he gets Pepsi for his stuff because Pepsi is cheaper and they give you more ad deals and more merchandise deals. Fun fact. And Coke doesn't give a fuck unless you're a major name.
But that's because they can afford to be strong.
They can afford to not give a fuck. Exactly. Anyways, so someone stole an ass ton of roses, and for some reason this is important. With like darkness roses. I don't know why this matters.
and the OPs are like,
Which by old people, they're probably like 50.
Yeah, I'm thinking the reason why this has happened because they never actually discussed this again after this.
Yeah.
Is just because we find out at the end, there's like a slight hint at the end of the Kelowna dream that it wasn't like that the white bull. I thought he was just observing, like listening to the conversation.
Yeah, no, but he's actually.
But he's pretending.
He acts like Kelowna in her dreams to get her to essentially start the rest of the book, which almost to where the storyline actually starts.
Yeah, but
We're getting there.
I imagine his reason for doing the roses is to make them, because it's coming out near the grotto.
Yeah,
is to make them think, oh, she's getting more powerful. Look at these roses.
We need to do something. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what the purpose of the roses is.
Yeah.
Then they like redid the grotto, and I wrote down, how the fuck does anyone get money? Like, how did Zoe just get money?
They have renovated everything. They've started a restaurant, and I'm like, with what funding?
Because then when they start bringing up like the weapon stash and how much it's worth and everything, I thought, oh, so they've been selling the weapons. Like, no, they cataloged them.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, exactly. So that's where the money came from.
And they broke from the major vampire council, so it's like they have to fund themselves now, and so there's no explanation where the money comes from, and it's all very stupid. And then someone mentioned the fact that like magic
vampire taxes to like fund all the schools or something.
Probably, like there's
like
or maybe
what?
it's a
Like
private
they have
organization.
donors and shit.
Because the House of Night, technically, it's a company. It has to be, or some sort of entity, because it owns all of the schools, like on paper. So there's some sort of business entity, and they just don't go into all this. And there would be a lot more that goes into this, as far as because it's a business. You're running a business.
I think
because I was thinking about this
for adults to read.
No, because adults think about money.
I'm thinking they just don't think that teenagers would ever go, but where does the money come from?
No, because I did it when I was younger.
Because also in this as well, like Aphrodite, right? Let's talk about Aphrodite's finances for a minute, right? She's been disowned by nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
So there is no way her mother is still funding her.
No.
And yet Aphrodite is still the richest of them all.
And also, Shawnee talks about how her parents don't talk to her anymore, but all in the first season, she used her parents' credit card.
Yeah, I think. With that, I still do, because there was references to her parents being absentee and everything, and then so they just like have the money and just don't want to talk to you.
Well, and they also
kind of the same.
They also mentioned that House of Night gives you debit cards, and I'm like, okay, but they don't have to pay tuition to go here. Therefore, they have to supply food. They have to. I guess they don't pay their teachers because. Why do they need money? But then they have debit cards because they have to do things. They have to eat and go places. And it just doesn't make sense economically.
With what money?
Exactly. Economically, this doesn't make sense.
The only thing I can think of is that vampires are required to pay like 5% or something of their earnings.
But with what money?
I don't know. I just
Where
know
do they get money?
That's the only thing I can assume, though, because in this world, like, vampires are incredibly rich and successful people.
Yeah.
So
everything's funded by Eric Knight.
I was about to say, since there's so many famous people that are vampires, literally every single famous person, maybe it's like an alumni association where they just pay money to the school.
Is that
how
what
colleges
that's
go?
what I'm thinking.
But then, like, if you're from North America, it's like Zoe's decree. If you're from a North American House of Night, like 10% of your earnings or like 30% or some bullshit goes to like a House of Night. Like,
it's 95%. They have to send 95% of
it would
earnings.
have to be because like it doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no way to like make the either that or they're just like $10 trillion in debt at this point because like my House of Night debit card, I'm like, it'd be a fucking credit card, first of all.
Yeah.
With no limit because there's no way.
No.
But what?
They mentioned something about how maybe magic turned their roses different colors, and I'm like, okay, but since when does the magic system allow for roses to be turned different colors? Then it's the vision. So Aphrodite has a vision.
Yeah.
Where she thinks she's in Damien's body, and Jack, as like a zombie thing, comes and noms on him.
Zombies come out of a hole in the ground, and there's something about it, whether or not to break his circle or close it, and it doesn't close, and then dead.
Yeah. I just said anyways basically she has a vision. Thanks for keeping I said thanks for keeping the trope of telling us what happens in the book so we don't have to read it.
Yep.
That said, though,
and then there's a poem.
At least with this one, it's not the entirety of the thing, and she didn't actually see what she thought she saw.
Yes, it was actually.
At least there's that. Like, that's the one saving grace.
Oh, also at this point as well, I forgot about this.
Cramisha gives her a poem that's completely irrelevant. We don't talk about it once more. Then in chapter 6, Zoe says something about how we're not kids anymore, and she says, is they're all barely 18 or not even 18 yet.
Yeah, she's still 17 at this point. Oh, also, because we like to keep this whole book takes place over about 26 hours.
It's 24.
I know that
she says it.
I know that
it's 24 from the first spell to the second spell.
Oh, and then a couple hours.
I know that Addie and I are 22, about to be 23 in 6 months, and I know that Bae is older than us and has 2 kids. But I think we all still feel like children.
Oh yeah, I could not run a North American branch.
Zoe's like, we're not kids anymore. Like, nobody who's 18 feels like is like, you know what? I'm a fully fledged adult. The older you get, I feel the less like an adult really you feel. The more you're like, I wish there was an adult to your adult around. Like, that's how you know you're an adult, is the moment you're like, I wish there was an adult to your
I'm
adult.
the adult to your adult. Like, that's when you're full-fledged adult. They're still fledgling adults.
Yeah. So the thing is, as well, is probably because, you know, 1, I am older, but 2, I think because I have kids and stuff, which automatically makes you grow up like that.
Makes you the adult to your adult.
Yeah. Adults generally don't be like, I'm a grown up now type thing. They don't say stuff like that.
I'm a big kid now.
Sorry. Yeah, grown ups don't refer to themselves as grown ups. And yeah, they generally like don't think in terms of like, you know, I'm not a kid anymore type thing. It's just they just know, so they don't have to think it. It's just their mindset has changed.
Right. Yeah. And these are just things that you think about when you're writing like human beings. But the other thing is that I think you know that you're an adult. Like I said, when you can admit that you need an adult to your adult and that you're like, hi, mom, help. Yeah. Like the moment that you go from like, I don't need mom to like, mom.
Yeah. Yeah, like adults still need their mommy.
Yeah, exactly. Of course you do. But no, they're adults. They're 17 and they're fine. Everything's fine.
Yep.
Thank you, run the world.
Chapter 6. We're a 7th of the way through the book right now, just so you know.
So big reunion. Everyone's like, oh my god. And then I wrote down, Subaru, don't become Jack and cry constantly. And Rafam is just so adorable. And I love him so much. And I want him to be a big character again.
Yeah.
I miss Rafam as like a character.
Yeah, Rafam like greets Zoe. And he's like, oh my god, Zoe. And he like kisses her on top of her head, like affectionate. Like, I know a few guy friends that would be like, oh my god. Like, give me, you know, like, I know guy friends who would do that to me because they're like 7 feet tall. You probably know who I'm thinking of, SDA.
Yes, I do.
Who would be like, oh my god, Ducky, come here. I want to love you. Like,
yeah, I know. Papa Duck.
Yeah, exactly. Papa Duck. He would be like, oh my god, look at you.
I miss Papa Duck.
Yeah, Kenzie and I were talking about him the other day. It was a good time. But so I was like, oh my god, that's so cute. I love her fam so much. And then they talk about like, oh hey, everyone's here. How's everyone doing? Yay.
And also Zoe's big birthday surprise is they're gonna have a slumber party in her dorm room.
Okay, my first note was like,
yes,
is anybody using those dorm rooms? Like, what'd you do? Just kick people out?
I was like, also, I'm sorry. I love my BFFs. I'll spend the day with my BFFs. My birthday night is meant for my significant other. You know? You know what I mean? Like, no one wants to be like, oh my God, it's my 18th birthday. I want to go spend the night with not my boyfriend and get birthday coitus. You know, like that's like, especially Zoe, who's now having sex.
Yeah.
Like, you want intimate time with your significant other.
Mhm.
Like, spend all day with them, whatever, you know. And also, your boyfriend's a zombie at night. Who, like, go be with your boyfriend who's a zombie. Well, actually, wait, no. He's not a zombie anymore at night.
No.
He's, for some reason, awake all the time in this book.
Yes, he's because we forgot about that rule. But like,
Yes, and so now that he's especially awake overnight, you should go be with the boyfriend.
for example, when I'm at your house or at your apartment, you and I don't slumber party together.
No, I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed. And you're like, and then we go our separate ways.
Because we're 22.
I mean, I will say, like, they are still at an age where it's like, you know, if they're having a party type thing, like, yeah, they'll probably all crash in the same room.
But they're not kids anymore, Mara.
I know.
They're not kids anymore.
Here's the thing. Like, if there was like some reason for any one of us, like either me and Addie or me and Bae, to like sleep in the same bed, and there was like a reason for us to do it, it wouldn't be like, oh, I can't believe we have to do this.
Exactly. It's not like the end of the world. It would
be fine. Like, there would be no issue, you know?
But also, you're going from...
wouldn't be like,
we also wouldn't be like, yay, we get to have a slumber party.
It's also that, and that they have gone to having their own bedrooms. And I'm sorry, I would not ever want to sleep in a fucking dorm again. I don't care about fuck who I'm with. I will never, ever sleep in a dorm again, because that's what you do when you're the first or second year of college. You go and you sleep in your little dorm rooms. And also, what good memories did they have in that room? None.
Like, look, Patty and I went to the beach a couple of weeks ago, and like, if for practical reasons they were like,
we just have a king bed available.
We just have a king bed. We would have been like,
yeah, fuck it,
all
fine,
right,
whatever.
We would have been like, fuck it. But I don't like. Look, we would prefer to be able to starfish in our own beds. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we would prefer. Like, if we had to, we'd be fine.
Yeah. And no one's like, oh, I'm so excited to not sleep in my king size bed and go back to my twin bed.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is like, I would never, ever, I don't give a fuck what surprise it is. I don't want to go sleep in a dorm twin bed, because those things are the tiniest things in the world.
And Shawnee is like the smart one. She's just like, when they're discussing it, she's like, I really have no interest in having a sleepover, because I'm an adult now and I don't want to sleep.
And she probably wants to go bang Eric. And there's nothing wrong with that. She's not evil. God. Anyways. So Rafam is like, yeah, no, Kelowna definitely didn't go talk to you in your dreams, dude. That definitely didn't happen.
Oh, no.
I'll go ask.
No, that happened.
Wait, what chapter are we in?
We're on chapter 7.
Oh, yeah, no, this one is
real quick. Did we talk about like the I shall never eat pussy again, Gone with the Wind is racist, everything was racist again, fucking kill me? Or everything was racist?
I don't remember if that's
then?
Right now. I think that was, when the reunion happened. Yeah, the reunion was when that happened. Yeah.
I wrote that down.
Because they see Eric and they all go, everyone just goes into this actor spiel to Eric, and Eric's just like,
what is happening?
There's some sort of like Amber Alert going on somewhere.
Yeah, I'm like, that's an Amber Alert. Go get the fucking baby, Addie. Go save the baby.
It was just like, just somewhere. I don't know where it came from, because it wasn't this. Baby.
Oh,
I just got really confused. I think it was my neighbor. But
and the snot thing has come back. Direct quote: "Don't cry, you'll make me start, and I'll turn into a snot and disaster. Oh, snot and mascara disaster." Site.
Yeah. So essentially, the reunion's just it's a lot of just annoying, and everyone's homesick
because it was like, oh my god, my BFF Stevie Ray. I'm like, you mean your BFF Aphrodite?
Yeah, like Stevie Ray hasn't lived here for over 10 months. Like,
And Joss Whedon is so amazing that he keeps a private jet on standby for Eric so he can go track whenever he needs to. I can.
Oh my god, you can? I don't know where it's coming from. Anyway. But yeah, so the reunion is just garbage. And then
I don't like that they use real life people. Like it's so weird. Like it feels so forced every time they mention Joss Whedon in this book.
It really does.
Why?
I'm also like, I don't feel like Joss Whedon consented to this. And then this is in chapter 7 is where I made the note of Lenopia as like only part of the Han Council, and I was like, wait, what?
Well, and so they tell Damien about the vision, and Damien has just fully taken on his role as annoying Jack. And he's like, my Jack? And they're like, no, honey, not your Jack. Just some random zombie Jack. And he's like,
yeah, and Damien's going to be, and we'll get into it.
Damien's
like,
so annoying this whole book.
Damien's the worst.
Stevie
character.
Ray's just crying constantly. Shaylin didn't even know Jack, and she's like, oh my God, that's... And I'm like, but you didn't even know him. Like,
yeah, I know, right?
And
but
everyone else only knew him
for them
months.
to remember who knew whomst.
Yep, and we'll get to that a bit later when other Jack comes into it, because there's a thing about Rafame.
Yeah. We're gonna do a protection spell around Nefret's tomb, and it takes way too long for Zoe to realize, oh, I should just write it myself because none of these feel right. Oh my God. And there was such a revolutionary idea when someone was like, well, you should just do it yourself.
Well,
and
Grandma,
she was
like, I wrote it down about 10 minutes before Grandma Redbird did her, like, mystery reveal, and I was like, you couldn't have just said it because she had to do it in, like, the most mysterious way possible. She was like, and why do you think that is, Zoe Bird?
Like, can she really just go away? Why is she here?
I want her to die horribly. I want her to die in a pit of lava.
She should have died when Nefret had her.
My note for when she comes back, and I was just like, oh, Grandma's back. Yay.
What I wrote down is an Outlander quote, which is Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ, Grandma motherfucking Redbird. How did she not die? Because Claire in Outlander, whenever she gets super pissed off, which Outlander is a girl from the 19th century who goes to, or the 20th century, she goes back to 1740s Scotland, and she goes, Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ all the time, and then everyone's just like,
what?
You okay? But she says it because it's just her thing. And so I wrote it down and I was like, that's how fucking angry.
Roosevelt Christ. Why is she here? I hate her. And then everybody's like, Grandma.
I'm like, the only person who has a right to call Grandma Redbird Grandma, except for Zoe, is Stark, because he's essentially her husband.
Or
Aphrodite
saved her from dying. So I'll give it to Aphrodite because I would say that Aphrodite has a special connection to her.
Yeah.
Because Aphrodite was like, I saved you from jumping off a bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just before Grandma comes back in there, there's a thing about the conversation about Eric, and one of the lines in it is, your boy Eric messed around, my Eric doesn't. No. And also...
Oh, this is the black girl magic thing.
Yeah, and then also Stevie Ray refers to Rafame's bird form as crow form. It's like, his daddy only visits him during the day while he's a crow.
He's a raven.
Yeah. They're different birds.
They're different birds.
Whatever, it's fine. So Damien finally shows sadness over Jack's death almost a year later.
Oh my God, right?
And we're like, also in the meantime, I didn't write this down, but in the meantime, so Jack just broke up with, Damien just broke up with Adam, which was the reporter from season 1. He went to New York with Jack after dating him for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They weren't even like an official thing, but he moved to New York with him. And then Damien said that he broke up with Adam because he wasn't over Jack.
I love
Guys, this is fucking dumb. This is fucking dumb.
Me, it's so dumb.
So
dumb I can't even keep my hair in the right spot.
Yeah, and then we did 12 seconds of research. Time to fuck off and eat cookies. That's what I wrote down there.
Yeah.
I'll be right back again.
Okay, and then when they're talking about how she has to write the spell, Nicole and Shaylin are like laughing and being like, make sure you're as specific as possible, because Shaylin used our relationship as a symbol for happiness in a spell, and it made sense.
Yes.
And they all had sex, and it was really fun.
Yep.
It's just like, oh yeah, so rugging a bunch of teenage girls and getting them to rape each other is hilarious.
And so when they're like, they have to choose things that represent their element. And I thought at first they were going to do something kind of okay. Because in tarot cards, like every element is represented by a deck, which is like it's swords, pentacles, wands, and cups. And I thought that they were going to do that because they did a dagger, which is kind of sword, for air. And I was like,
yeah.
And then they fucking ruined it.
Yeah.
They're going to do a tetrahedron, and I just...
Yeah, one thing that amused me, right, was Shawnee was like, oh, do you know what a tetrahedron is? And Zoe's like, it sounds like something mathy.
Yeah.
And Shawnee's like, it's a solid four-sided pyramid. It's just like, yep, definitely math. And then Stark corrects her with geometry, actually. And it's like, what do you think geometry is?
Yeah, SGA texted me and just said, geometry is math. And I was just like,
yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my note as well. Geometry is math.
And they're using a wand for Earth, which wand is fire, and it was just very unhappy. But they got the spell figured out, and they go to the park. We're finally a third of the way through.
And Aphrodite is standing in for air.
For Damien, because they don't want the vision to come true.
Yeah, because it's not like Zoe has an affinity for elements or anything.
Well, she has to represent spirit. She can't stand in for air and spirit. That does make sense. Then Damien is like, that's the best way I could summarize it. Honestly, is just griping in a corner saying, I want to do it. And Aphrodite's like, here's a very logical reason why you shouldn't. And Damien's just like, but I want to.
Well, yeah, because he's gay, so he can't be logical about anything.
Yeah. I missed this as well. Like I said, when they're setting up for the spell, so it's like I pulled the box of extra long wood matches from where I'd snuggled them inside my awesome bomber jacket that had wild feminist printed in bold white letters on the back. I missed that.
We also keep constantly talking about if Aphrodite's vision is literal or not. And I'm like, okay, we get it. Y'all don't fucking know. We understand.
Yeah, because there's a moment also where Damien's like, it could be literal and figurative.
Yeah.
And then they go into this long explanation because everybody's like, but how, Damien? How could it be literal and figurative?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll explain it to you how it could be literal and figurative. And it's like, why would he have to do that? That's so stupid. Like, what?
Well, that's like in a previous book where hero makes a mention, like uses a cliche that involves horses, and they're like, but you don't like horses.
Oh, damn it.
We're talking about the same people. So,
right though, like,
there we go.
For real.
So they're doing the spell, and just as Zoe's about to do,
oh, this is funny as fuck.
With the Athame, wild Aphrodite's mum appears, and she's like, "How absolutely dare you call Satan into my park?"
Yep, essentially. And so it fucked up the spell because Zoe's, and we find out later, everyone's intentions were, fuck, I wish she just got eaten by a zombie right now. Everyone thought it. Everyone.
Yeah.
And so zombies show up. And who's one of the zombies? None other than Jack Switch/Twist, motherfuckers.
Yep. And because they were forewarned.
We can't call him dance. He's not here. He doesn't give a fuck about what's happening anymore. He's like, fuck all y'all, I'm done.
So they closed the circle because they were warned by the premonition to not close it.
Not that it fucking helps.
No.
Yeah. So all the zombie things escape and kill the reporters and shit that were with Aphrodite's mother.
I'm not very good at writing action because I can't really ever follow it very well.
Yeah.
And all I know is that Darius grabs Aphrodite's mom. I think like fireman style. And Aphrodite tases Jack enough to him to pass out.
Yeah.
And then
so they're like, and then Aphrodite's like, put her down and pick him up. She can walk, and he puts her down, and she just bitch slaps him.
Yeah. Then he knows who he is, but he's like Aphrodite, or not Aphrodite. He's like Stevie Ray, pre-humanity.
Yeah. Because he's a red. We find out later that they're all red fledglings and red vampires from another world.
Mm-hmm. And Aphrodite realizes her vision was of her getting murdered, and someone's targeting her. Apparently, that's never brought up again. But but
why would it be?
Yeah, I know. So Darius grabs Jack.
And for most of this book, towards the end, when we find out that everyone was thinking, fuck, we should get eaten by zombies type thing, Zoe just kept on being like, this was all Aphrodite's mom's fault. It's like, actually, no, it was your fault.
Like, you summoned them here. Like, I texted Addie this. I was like, so you mean to tell me that if they had all supernatural, none of this would have happened?
Yep.
And I wouldn't have had to read this fucking book.
Yep.
I'll
be right back.
I'm upset. That upsets me personally.
And then we go to General Dominic's point of view. And ultimately, he's just like, we get a bit of insight there. This keeps being references to the High Priestess and the Red Army and the rebels, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And there's apparently the Red Army are mostly mindless except for Hef, who is his lieutenant. And that's pretty much, he's like, we need to cloak ourselves with shadow and get to the tunnels and split up. And that was his chapter, I guess.
Which chapter is that?
That is chapter
12, right?
12.
Yeah.
Yep. And
so
then we go to Hef's point of view, which is...
Well, then, so chapter 13... No, then it goes to chapter 13.
Oh. No, Kevin has a point of view in chapter 12.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then
yeah, there's a hunk of chapter 12 that's not just General Dom.
So Kevin's point of view in this, at this point, he's just Hef.
Yeah.
But Kevin Heffer, and he recognized Zoe. He seems to have a bit of sense, and that's about it.
And I wrote down, because I saw where this book was going. So I wrote down, so we're going to give a fuck about this fake brother, and the real brother just doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
And the real sister also just doesn't fucking matter. Her real family never matters. And they try to rationalize this by saying, well, vampires, like, they just disconnect from their family usually. And I'm like, but she became a vampire, like, not even a year ago.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And then we go to Zoe's point of view, and Jack wakes up and he's like, this is all wrong. Why?
Yeah.
General Stark, why is your mark red? It should be
this blue. Is when we shouldn't have had Dom's perspective. This should have been when we're like,
yeah, this is one of those things where, like, most of this book should have been most of this book was from Zoe's perspective, but it's one of those things where, like, we shouldn't have had General Dominic's perspective at all, because we didn't need it. Like, we were going to get all of this from Jack Twist, you know? And so this is one of those things where, like, this book does this, and it doesn't need it because, in Marked, we established, like, I, right? It's an it's a first person perspective kind of story. And
it should be.
When you do that kind of a thing, you got to be very careful if you're going to branch out. And you need to do it very selectively, which obviously the series doesn't. And this book is much better about it, but this part didn't need this, and even like the sky thing didn't need to happen because, like, we found out about it anyway. And
I don't mind the sky thing because it was very short, and I guess it was so we could experience the slaughter.
Yeah, but you could always have had like Zoe rush there, but like, you know, you could have made it interesting from her perspective, right? Because from Sky's perspective, we don't know who she is.
Yeah.
Whereas like from Zoe's perspective, you know, supposedly at this point, if you're a good author, you give a shit about Zoe. So from Zoe's perspective, you would have cared. So you could have had like Zoe be like, "Oh, turn the fucking car around."
Yeah,
like, you know,
just context. Jack mentions that that the depot is like the Red Army stronghold, and they're like, "Oh no, the restaurant."
Right.
Yeah.
And so they could have yeeted there, and you could have had Zoe watch it happen. Like, you could have had something interesting happen from Zoe's perspective. Like, you don't need it. So it's just one of those things where you don't need all these perspectives, but we do it anyway because reasons.
Yeah, and Damien suicided in the other world 6 months ago. And this new Jack, I liked him at first because he was like, he wasn't crying all the time. He was just kind of angry and like, what the fuck is going on, guys? But no, he's just the same old Jack.
Yeah.
And like the people from the people that we know are mostly rebels.
Yeah.
It's explained more later. Or dead, yeah.
Except for Stark, he's one of Nephro's lovers.
I laughed so hard.
I did too.
I was like,
especially because Stark was like, that's disgusting.
It was funny.
And then we do go to Sky's perspective and we just see the red vampires show up. We see Zoe call.
Zoe calls and she's like, lock
get the fuck out.
Barricade it. But
it was too late. Army's there. Everyone's dead. It like I think the head count's like 80 something humans, 70 something humans.
Yeah.
I think it's 76. But then we go to Zoe's perspective and she calls Detective Marks, which I do like Detective Marks.
I do too.
I didn't like him at first, but now I enjoy him.
Well, I like that it's because it kind of reminds me of Tony.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, a tiny bit. So I'm kind of like, I like when there is a human cop that we keep around.
Yeah. So they're just like, okay, we need to try and get in contact with Kramisha. They can't. They lock down the school.
Yeah. Then they go see Jack
and show him around the school, I guess.
No, not yet. Oh no, we found out more lore essentially. So like on his world, red vampires can bite people and turn them into like zombie-like vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of initiates the change, but then because those humans don't have the vampire gene, they can't survive the change, so they just die within like a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they do the walk around, and I said Damien really needs to stop being a fucking child.
Yeah. So
Damien acts like a little bitch throughout this entire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's confused by Raphaem's existence.
Oh, that's one thing as well. I can't remember when it is, but Raphaem gets mentioned, and Jack's like, "What's a Raphaem?" And he's like, "Oh, you and our Jack and Raphaem were good buddies, you know." And it's like Raphaem got turned into a human at Jack's funeral.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think that they ever actually knew each other.
Yeah, I double checked. Raphaem, like they had Jack's. It was while Jack was burning. Because that's when Dragon then was like, "No, I won't," and then that's where Dragon's Oath.
Yes, yeah.
Kicked off. It was after Raphaem had been turned human, and he was watching over Jack's funeral. So, Raphaem and Jack never met.
Yeah.
But Steve Ray's like, our Jack and my Raphaem were good buddies, so you'll like it too.
No, you weren't. Because actually, like, before Raphaem was human, your Raphaem and anybody weren't buddies at all.
Yeah.
No.
Your Raphaem was a very big secret. Your bird boy, while he was a bird, was
you came out as bird sexual.
Yeah. Like, you came out as bird sexual when he was a handsome man.
So we find out a lot more about the other world at this point, where Nefret controls the red and blue armies, and humans are not free. The Midwest, I don't know if this is where it comes out yet, but the Midwest is essentially under Nefret's control, and the East and West Coast are the rebels' control right now.
Yeah.
Um,
So Neferet, I think we have established at this point as well, Neferet is not immortal in that
no,
world.
she's not in their world, and Kelowna doesn't exist.
Or if he did,
Yeah, because he's like, what's a Kelowna? Which made me snort.
so Kelowna's probably still trapped underground in the other world. I also wish that they come up with a better name for it, because in season 1, the other world was Nyx's realm.
Yeah,
Now
same.
it's referred to the
completely agree.
world.
Right, which is very confusing
Mm-hmm.
when you consider that the other world is heaven.
Yeah.
It would be like alternate universe, heaven, but also heaven is in heaven. And then you were like, so, and I was like, no, don't be a dumbass.
Yeah, I think Nyx's other world is other world 1 word, and this one is the other world 2 words. But it's still, I'm not condoning it because it's stupid. They should have said, they should have called it something else, knowing that they already had an other world.
Yeah, for sure.
So they should have referred to it as something else. And also, they're just rude. They're talking to Jack, and they're like, "So, other Jack." It's like, no, just call him Jack.
I know. Like, it's so rude. Like, in your heads, I understand making that distinction, but
or if you're talking about like two, like Jack and other Jack, you know.
Yeah, if somebody were to talk to me, like, and they were to be like, other Teresa, and I were to be like, because, like, to me, I'm not other Teresa. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not other Teresa.
Like, to me, I am the only Addie. Freaking.
Well, because the thing is, like, no matter what, even in this world, there are other people named Teresa.
So yeah, like you know,
because I'm named after someone.
Yeah.
So
they were. I would go to, you know, like in friend groups, it's very common, especially if it's common names like Sarah or Ashley or something like that, where there's more than one of those. You don't go, oh, hi Sarah, hi other Sarah, unless it's like just a joke thing, like where you're saying hi to everyone, hi Sarah, hi other Sarah, but that's one after the other, and then you don't refer to other Sarah as other Sarah when you're talking to her.
Yeah.
You know? It's not a thing you do when you talk to someone. It's like,
just rude.
Hello, secondary person.
Yeah. So Damien is just constantly like, oh my God, Jack. And they're like, not our Jack, you fuckwit. Your Jack is dead. This is not your Jack. You know, la, la, la. We find out more about their world where the rest of the High Priestesses are dead, disappeared, or pledged to Nefret. This is when they misspelled
Nefret, or they were killed.
Yeah. And I said, oh, there he is, the Jack we hate crying. They're going to keep New Jack because New Jack is like, I want to be healed and I want to stay here. And we're like, we don't fucking care. The end.
Well, when it comes to at least Damien, the distinction is necessary. Not that it lasts, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so 78 people died. Zombies, yay. Just talking about zombies. And Aphrodite's mom got bit.
Also, Jack is drinking a hell of a lot more blood than they expect him to. And they're like,
yes.
And they also consume flesh. And I'm not
they eat human meat. Yeah, it's pretty badass. And this is where it came out that everyone was thinking about how they wanted Mama LaFont to get 8. Where he was like, I'm sorry, this is my fault. And Aphrodite's like, yeah, no, I was thinking it too. And otherwise the circle's like,
everybody's like,
yeah,
me too.
Guilty. And it's like, oh, so all of our intent was for her to die.
Yeah.
So that's why it happened. So, like, while all of you were like, oh, this isn't our fault, it's like, it's literally your fault. So how do you guys stay home and watch Supernatural?
Yeah, because also, don't they all admit that after they find out that Aphrodite's mum was bitten?
Yeah, that's literally when it happened.
Yeah, that's...
He's always like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, this is my fault. And then everyone's like, it's all our faults, dude.
No.
And then
no, because Aphrodite's just like, my mother has that effect on people.
Yeah. It's funny. Then chapter 17 is Damien, who's just a depresso, and his parents don't talk to him, and everything's sad. And he's homesick, even though he's happy in New York, and he's just blubbering about Jack. And then, who is our favorite lady that shows up in this moment because she has supernatural powers? Grandma Redbird.
Grandma Redbird. Oh, I think I texted you when this made you laugh out loud. I said, because she's 61. And I said, oh, that's later. Why she's 90.
Yeah, it's confirmed later because I texted you when I found out. I was like, oh, so they actually say her age in here. And yeah, no, but she was also supposed to be like 58, I think, in season 1.
Like, the thing is, though,
the discrepancies, that's probably like the least.
Is in Zoe's head, though, they say stuff like,
she's so old and frail. She's middle-aged.
It's like, is something, is in this book, like after they've said she's 61, is they'll say things like, and blah, 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 which really showed her age of 61.
That's my dad's age.
Yeah, like my parents are.
My parents are younger than that, so.
Yeah. So
well, we've got old parents, but like our parents are literally like.
But I would never describe my dad as.
Yeah, no,
I
like
describe either of our parents. Like
the way that it's read in the audiobook, I'm envisioning like a 102-year-old woman just like with a walker, like, hello, Zoe Bird, I am Grandma Redbird, and I am here to.
Exactly, and it's like that's not her whatsoever.
Like I'm imagining somebody with so many wrinkles that like you can't even.
I'm imagining an elderly Native American woman.
Right, like not somebody who looks like a person.
Yeah,
I'm imagining somebody who looks like a leather shoe.
Yes.
She's middle-aged, like she's not even considered elderly for another 4 years.
No.
Like somebody who's 61 is still a person.
They still are in
you're
the
not
workforce.
Elderly until you're like
still,
80.
Yeah, honestly, until you cannot walk by yourself, you're a fine normal human being. And even when you can't walk by yourself, fine normal human being, you're just old.
She still doesn't have to have annual checkups on her eyesight to keep driving. You're not older, like you're not elderly until or like old until you have to have your annual checkups to your license, and that's how they describe her. They make it sound like she's been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah, and she's a bad influence because even though Damien's like, well, Zoe doesn't really want me to go see Jack. Grandma Redbird's like, just go fucking do it. Just go.
Take the dog.
Like, let me smudge you, and then you can go. And he's bringing Duchess and whatever. I literally don't give a single fuck about Damien, and I know we're supposed to because he's supposed to have a really sad storyline in this book, but I just don't give a single fuck about it.
Neither do I. And also,
what is it in that bit where she gives him the talk about
this infuriated me, and I was because I think you were asleep. But I was texting Addie the whole time because I was so mad. But like,
you understand.
Damien is supposed to have the depression arc, right? And this is another thing. Like, we already talked about the woke thing, so I won't rehash it. But like, I'm just making a note of it here. But Damien's depressed, right? And Grandma Redbird's thing is all like, she gives him a pep talk of like, if you don't want to be depressed, then just like don't, I suppose. And
she also. Oh, they're also like, well, would you love him even if he came back to you like male or female, whatever? He's like, yeah, no, I'd still bone.
Well,
and I'm like, that's not how sexuality works.
Exactly, because the thing is, like, if Damien was established as like bisexual, no problem whatsoever. Fucking ever.
Raging homosexual.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Flaming. He is super.
For example, in my books, I make it pretty clear in Livescraft, like, Jenna's bisexual.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, fine, okay? But, like, Damien is gay. You, like, say that he prances gaily. So for you to be like, wouldn't you change your sexuality to fuck Jack? And he's like, you know what? Grandma Redbird, you're right. I would defy gravity to do a coitus with Jack.
I'm still triggered that they brought Wicked into that.
I'm upset. Like, it's so stupid.
It is so stupid.
It's like if Grandma Redbird's like, if he were a gay man, wouldn't you love him in any form? I'm like, did we learn nothing from Aurochs? That even if it's the same person, it's still not the same person. And you have to acknowledge that different life experiences, no matter if it's the same soul, makes a different person a different person. Oh my God, what the fuck?
Yep.
Yep.
So he goes and visits Jack with Duchess, and Jack's like, oh my God, dog. And so they're in love again. They say, I love you, and it's just disgusting and horrible. And they start making out.
I hate everything about it because Damien is just like, no, it's totally Jack. I'm like, it's not Jack.
Everyone is like, it's not Jack. It's not.
And the scene where Jack and Damien are speaking, there's another continuity error as well, because like this is where Jack is like, you killed yourself, and it made you bad. And then Damien's like, I've been, depressed in and out of my life. And when I got here, I wasn't really bullied anymore. Not much anyway. Well, not after Eric Knight made me his roommate. No, Damien didn't have a roommate. He got there. Thor didn't want to room with him, so
was it
Eric? It was
Jack's roommate.
It was Jack that was Eric's roommate.
Yeah. And Damien was Rafame's
and that was a big thing as well, because like when Jack died, Zoe's like, why are you upset, Eric? And he's like, because I lived with him.
Yeah. So they start making out, and then Jack tries to bite him, and it's all very stressful. But then they make up and everything's fine.
Yeah, because Grandma gave Damien a turquoise necklace, and that shunned the Jack.
Yeah. And then they fall asleep.
Yeah, he read him a book.
Yeah. And that's Aphrodite's perspective. She's gonna go visit her mom, and Darius is like, I'll take you and I'll pick you up. It's not a big deal. And this is when Darius is like, oh, I'm 88. And I'm like, you're telling me that they've never had this conversation before.
That's the thing.
They've been dating for a year. You'd have had this conversation season 1.
Yeah, like
here's the thing. I know that vampires
anniversary.
I understand that vampires don't exist, but if I were to date a vampire,
my first question would be like, hey, how old are you?
But I swear that I could be.
I know, because I feel like
I'm pretty sure Zoe said to Darius, how old are you? And he's like, well, I'm 23 or something like that.
Same. Yeah. I swear to God that conversation happened. I feel like Darius is
Darius chose to be born in the early 1900s. I'm telling you. He talked to PC and he was like, hey, yo, dude, I want to be 88.
I swear it used to be canonically that Darius was like actually how old he is, and he's not 88.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her talk with her mom didn't go well, obviously.
Yeah, the talk with her mom, because the mom's like, oh, Aphrodite, I'm so glad you're here. I want us to be mother and daughter again. And Aphrodite's like, ugh. And she's like, so we can take over Tulsa.
Yeah, and Aphrodite's like, you're fucking,
well,
I'm
this
kind
is
of
where,
right?
Like, to just briefly get back to the Trump thing.
Yes.
It's about
just
to happen,
very, very briefly, the Trump thing gets so overblown to the point where I feel like even if you were the most dedicated liberal on the fucking planet, you wouldn't even be able to go along with it. Like, I think even if you were a dedicated communist, like in 1906, if you were like, I would kiss Karl Marx on the mouth and I would love it and I would come immediately. If I were to stick my tongue down his throat, you'd be like, you know what? I think this is a bit far. I think this is where it would happen. You know what?
They turned like Republicans into like cheesy, corny movie villains, because she's just like, this is my master plan to take over Tulsa. You know what you do? You trigger the righteous people of faith, and nothing triggers them more like xenophobia. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
because she turns her into like some sort of villainous mastermind of like, we're gonna make It's like, what the fuck?
Yep, and then she's explaining her villainous plan more by saying there is a faction, a minority, but very rich and a very powerful minority.
Yeah.
Who wants to begin putting people in political power like us? And she's like, what do you mean like us? And she's like, human and white.
Yeah, she goes into a whole
Don't forget rich,
human white people
dumbass.
thing. Yeah, human rich white people.
Yes.
Human
And how
rich
they're the
white
best.
people. They rule the world, you piece of shit. Why would you forget the white part? What the fuck is wrong with you?
And so essentially Aphrodite is like, I'm not human, fuck you, I'm leaving, and then gets before
Even
this
though
is when
she's
she
a
sucks
special
down
kind
Xander's
of human,
drive.
between books, she came to PC in a dream and she was like, PC, I have some things to say to you. And PC was like, yes, my child. And she was like, mother! And she was like, yes, I wish not to be human anymore. Okay, I shall make you a not human.
Which
Yeah.
got to get
And
there.
Aphrodite's already popped some Xanax, and when she leaves, because then Aphrodite's like, Mom, you're gonna die, bye.
Yeah.
And then she starts drinking.
Yeah, she starts drinking, and Stark and Zoe and Shawnee run into a very fucked up Aphrodite, and Aphrodite's like, well, you know what, fuck you, I quit. Bye. And they're going to a building where there's a tunnel entrance, and that's about it. And then I wrote down at the beginning of chapter 21, this could have been like 5 chapters thus far. But it's Aphrodite's perspective, and she goes to Nyx's temple, and she cries, and Nyx gives her a gift, which I thought was super cool at first, and then turns out to be dumb as shit.
I hate it. I hate everything about it because
she
we learned that she's gonna have kids who aren't like she's like, you're gonna have kids, you're gonna have grandkids.
That means that her and Darius aren't gonna be together anymore.
That's what I did!
And what happens to Frigga? Because Nyx is like, Aphrodite is like, I'm gonna have kids. She's like, yes, lots of kids. So I've spoken. So motivated.
Be.
And it's like, did you just tell Aphrodite she has to go get knocked up?
Yeah.
She doesn't have a choice.
Exactly. So I got really excited because I was like, oh my god, she got her mark back. She's red and blue. That's fucking dope. Oh my god, she's fully changed vampire, etc. And then she's like, no, well, your mark's going to go away one day, and then you're going to have babies.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Aphrodite is like, in my opinion, you know how Caroline in the Vampire Diaries is the best vampire? She's the person who most deserves to be a vampire.
Yes.
Aphrodite
is that person too.
Aphrodite is that person in this series. She's the person who most deserves to be a fully fledged vampire. And she doesn't get it. Like, at least in the Vampire Diaries, Caroline stays a vampire, and like she deserves it because she's a great vampire.
Yeah.
Aphrodite should be a vampire.
But so essentially her gift is she can give second chances to people because Nyx is like, I feel like I need to do something. So Aphrodite's her divine intervention. So she can give second chances to people.
And one thing as well, because like in this thing as well, because before Nyx comes to Aphrodite sees a reflection and realizes how fucked up she is. And she's like, oh, great, I'm an addict and I'm turning into my mom. And then she starts thinking about her mom. And when Aphrodite was, how old? She was 6. And she ran up to her dad and kissed her dad on the lips.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what children do.
Yeah. There was a
her
whole
mother made out and then her mother had a go at them and said it was without saying it, she was saying that it was pedophilic.
Yeah, and she also called Aphrodite a whore
and I'm just like, I don't think one thing you'll probably find as well is because I know they're trying to demonize her and by making her some uptight thing because she's conservative, but I think you'll probably find in most families the conservative mother is probably going to be the least person to shame affection between parents and children.
Yeah,
because family values are the utmost importance to a conservative mother.
Yeah.
No, I just can't fathom a world in which a woman would look at her 6-year-old and go, you are never to kiss your father on the lips. That is disgusting. How absolutely dare you? Or to their kindergartner.
No explanation.
Especially in I guess non-cities, like in more suburban areas and stuff like that as well, because again, family values tend to be more important in more suburban areas.
Yeah.
It's still not uncommon for people to greet their family with a kiss on the lips, just like obviously not a makeout, just a wow. Like if I mean I don't do it, I usually do a cheek, but if I saw like my cousin go up and kiss my pop on the lip, like a mwah, I wouldn't be weirded out by that.
No, like, okay.
And we're adults.
I'm Italian, and I don't know if it's an Italian thing, but I have a huge. But because I'm Italian, I've got a massive extended family, and all of like the adults do that. Like,
it's not.
I don't think I've done it because I'm 12. But all the adults do it, and like nobody thinks it's weird.
No, it's a pretty normal thing to.
Yeah, because all the adult.
Heck.
Yeah, like all the adult cousins do it. Like they all do like the kiss on the cheek thing. Like it's just not weird to be affectionate at all.
It's not an uncommon thing. It's a weird backstory point to give her.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
The thing I think I said to Addie was like they sloppily gave her the alcoholism thing.
Yeah.
And then also like they had Zoe be a sanctimonious bitch about it. And like I said to Addie too, the thing that's so weird about it is like Aphrodite has always been the rock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also the thing. And then they like, as they're doing the alcoholism and the drug thing, they randomly pepper in other issues too as they're solving this issue. Like, oh, and then also her dad's a pedophile, and then also this, and then also that. And then it's just like, what the fuck? And so, like, on top of that, you're adding in all these other issues, and it just doesn't make any sense. And then it just gets solved by, like, Nyx, save me. All your issues are solved. So, like, Damien's depression is solved by Grandma Redbird being like, well, maybe you just should be happy now. And Damien's like, oh, I didn't consider being happy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that how you cure depression? You just are like, huh, I don't feel like being depressed anymore. Is how you cure addiction being like, oh, I'm kind of done with that now. Wow. It's, you know what? It's so crazy that nobody with those issues considered that.
I am wondering, I doubt that they will, like, because not enough time has passed for Aphrodite to be like, God, like to struggle with her decision to not anymore. Yeah. I'm wondering if in the next book she's going to be having cravings. I'm hoping she does, because if she doesn't, then it's bullshit.
I mildly skimmed the next book because of something I saw in the preview for the next book, and I didn't see anything like that because mostly Zoe is not around them.
Yeah.
Well, because people can have things, like, this is the thing, is, like, it can be handled in a certain way. Like, the way that I would personally handle Aphrodite's situation, and I think Addie and I talked about this, is, like Aphrodite's the rock, right? Aphrodite's the person that makes all of the level-headed decisions.
Yeah.
So it would make sense for Aphrodite to have it actually makes sense for Aphrodite to be the one with the issues because she's the smartest person in the room. Fuck Damien. Aphrodite's the smartest person in the room, hands down, all the time. So, and typically people with these issues are actually very smart, which is why they have the issues in the first place. And so it makes sense for Aphrodite to be the one struggling. So, like, it would make sense for Aphrodite to have the problem, and then for Aphrodite to struggle with it, and then for Aphrodite to kind of, like, come to terms with it. But, like, the way that it's handled is so fucking sloppy.
Yep.
I'll be back in one sec, but I'm still listening.
So Aphrodite's gift, essentially, she gives second chances to people, and as like an extra gift, Nyx forgives and gives humanity back to all of the new red vampires that have come through, as well as her mother.
Well, yeah, because Nyx essentially acknowledges that if Aphrodite had to do that, Aphrodite would essentially lose her vampirism.
And would have immediately become human again. And Nyx is like, yeah, I'm not that much of an asshole. Just a most asshole.
But I also think I texted you and said this, like, I hate Nyx.
Yeah, like, Nyx is not a good character. She's not a benevolent goddess. She's just kind of like I'm a bitch who disregarded the love of my life because he was jealous and I didn't tell him that he shouldn't be jealous anymore.
Yeah, like, because, like I just said, Aphrodite should be a vampire.
Yep, she deserves it. So chapter 22, we're in Kevin's perspective, which is Zoe's otherworld brother. He's confused. He realizes this is his world. And then Zoe, they're planning to go in the tunnels. They go follow. And this is where Shawnee silently calls fire to her. They see Kevin, and she's like, ah! And she's like, Kevin! And then they escaped.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin and 5 other vampires escaped.
Yes.
Then chapter 23 is Damien. He wakes up at like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And Jack's awake, and he's sobbing, and like he's like, oh, I feel like myself again. And it's like,
yeah.
And then they make out, and then Aphrodite walks in.
And like, it's weirdly disturbing to me to have them making out.
Because they don't know each other.
Right.
They don't.
But
they're just in love with each other.
Because
suddenly.
And like the thing is that situations, this is a theme that we've been talking about this entire series, both Bae and I, before you came here, before you started talking about it with us. But then like once you got here, we've been talking about this the entire time. They keep doing things that we're like, you could do something with this, but they just don't.
Yeah.
It
could be a very interesting relationship dynamic.
Like, think about it. Like, if I died, right? And there was another version of me. Can you imagine the emotional torment that you would
both of us would go through?
Right. Like, if the other version of you were dead.
Yeah.
And then, both other versions of us were to meet each other. Both versions of us would be like, what do we do with this situation? Because
we wouldn't just immediately be like, all right, let's write more books. We're best friends again. Like, no, because the dynamics of the relationship were different.
Right, because like neither version of us knows each other.
Yeah.
Because it's not really
that
you.
Person. Yeah.
And it's not really me.
Yeah.
It would be very difficult to reconcile that. And that's something interesting that you can play with. Because it's also like an interesting commentary on grief that you can mess with.
But they don't. They just make them start fucking each other again.
Right. But it's just,
both of them lost each other in very traumatic ways as well.
Exactly.
Because one of them killed themselves and the other claymore to the neck.
Yeah, and then also Jack has been murdering, like he's been brutally killing people since he did a red.
Right.
And I understand them like latching to each other, but they logically would still have
sensitive and
they'd be walking on eggshells.
Right. Like, because the thing is,
they wouldn't just be fucking.
Because like the thing is, I like any one of us in this situation, like if it were the other version of you and the other version of me, I think if I were to meet either one of like the other versions of you, obviously we would both be like, but then we'd both be like,
it'd be like this,
but it's not.
It would be like I want to, but also I know that it's not really Bae because it's not the Bae that like I stayed up for 4 hours on the phone talking with and spilled all my secrets to, because it's not you. Like it is you, but it's not the same you. It's not the you that I lost.
Yeah, exactly. And the other person can't replace what they lost.
Right,
and
because
they're gonna do that. It's gonna be dumb.
Because it's a place to do an interesting commentary on grief. But like we keep saying about the series, they always set up a place to do something so interesting. Yeah. And then they completely lose it.
They just brush over it.
Exactly. Because
they linger on the shit they shouldn't and they rush past the shit that they shouldn't.
Yeah. Exactly. Because like, especially when you have a teen audience watching, these are places where you can actually walk teenagers through stuff that's very difficult. and yeah, you're good. And that's very hard to get through.
Yeah, well, like for example, different form of media, but like with Buffy, all of like especially the first 3 seasons of Buffy were metaphorical for real life teenage issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like their high school was literally on the mouth of hell.
Yeah.
Therefore, metaphorical high school is hell.
Yeah.
Buffy sleeps with Angel and he turns evil, and that's obviously like the show's metaphor of you sleep with your boyfriend and he turns into a jerk, and stuff like that. And that's like they were going through very normal teenage experiences with monsters as the metaphors. That's what they're trying to do here, but then they just skip past it all.
Well, even like you know, you guys know my favorite show is The Vampire Diaries, and like as cheesy as The Vampire Diaries is, if you rewatch it with a critical eye, so much of the very emotional stuff in The Vampire Diaries is handled so well.
And there's consequences for all of their actions.
And especially the grief stuff in The Vampire Diaries is handled so well that if you're a teenager, you know, you can really latch onto those things and latch onto those lessons. And that's one of those things, like if you're writing YA or if you're writing any kind of media, and if you have a chance to reach out to teenagers especially, you really can help people through things. And these books do such a poor job of what they're trying to do that it's just sad.
Well, exactly. And it's having realistic reunions and stuff like that. Even if it's the same person, like in Outlander, Jamie and Claire are apart for 20 years. And when they get back together, it's awkward as fuck. Because it would be. It's someone you knew for 3 years that you haven't been with for 20 years. And you go back and you're just like, how do we speak to each other now? Like, how do we find out what we had again?
Exactly. Like, so, like, you know, Addie and I don't really talk about this publicly, but just to sort of talk about it real quick.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
You and I had like a brief hiatus, and for us to get back to being like best friends and writing Blackwoods, it took us a second.
It took a few months for us to be like.
It took us a few months to like
collide and eggshelly.
Yeah, to like reestablish our friendship. Like, look, we got back to where we were, but it wasn't like instantaneous because we weren't best friends,
and we were different people.
Right, because we were different people by the time we got back to each other, and you know, like we were best friends before and we're best friends now, but like we became different people between those, you know, but like during those years that we were apart, and like that was necessary. But like that's the powerful stuff in literature and in real life, which is why it's powerful in literature.
Yeah.
Because people can relate to it. Because you can be like, I can still love this person, I can still be their best friend, but also I'm not the same person. And that's why it's so emotional in literature. Yeah, that's why like The Wheel of Oshheim is my favorite book, because when the two main characters see each other again, it's like one of the most powerful moments, and you're just rooting for them to be back in the same spot because the main character is a different person who's grown without the other main character there, and you're just like ready for their reunion. But they're two different people by the time they get back together.
It's also like what we were saying last week in Last Sacrifice, when Rose and Dimitri have to go off on their road trip together. That's then that whole thing is them reestablishing their relationship post their own individual personal growth to the point where they're now equals and everything like that. And and they were only and the difference there as well is the fact that Rose and Dimitri, they're still as individuals the same people that they were before, but they're not the same people they were before. If that makes sense.
Exactly.
All of their previous experiences that they shared, they still shared them. You know, it's not like in this one where it's two different versions of each other's person. I imagine like in this one, like I can even understand if they got caught up and like, you know, had a thing and then after they have their.
I think it's going to be like solidified by how next book handles it. Which is not gonna be well.
If in the next book, even the next book, they're still like, we're together and we're happy, which is, I think, is what's going to happen.
It's probably going to happen that way.
Yeah, that's stupid. But if it's like after like they have their reunion, it's not really.
Yeah, and they realize how different they are from the person they knew. Then it's going to be like.
Yeah, then I can forgive this, but I don't think they're going to do that.
No, because I don't think they have the self-awareness to do it. And, like we've been saying, real life is complicated. And when you have the power to reach teenagers, it's something that, like, can be done very well. Like we said with Outlander, like with the Vampire Diaries. And I know Vampire Diaries is a cheesy show, but they just handle grief so well in that show, in my opinion.
And Vampire Academy is a good literature version of that. Like it's like friggin' Rose's grief in that is handled really well, and her complicated relationships with people. Like her thing with her mum was done really well.
Well, even like, for example, in Vampire Diaries, and the way that like Elena's relationship with Stefan is handled, because at one point she's just like, spoilers for Vampire Diaries, real quick. She's just like, you don't like that I've changed because I've become a vampire. Like, you just don't like me anymore.
Yeah.
You want to change me back to like the person that you met, and I literally cannot do that. And I don't know what you want from me. And like, she has to say that, and Stefan's like, and it's a real thing that happens to people.
Yeah, and even after she becomes human again, the experiences she had as a vampire doesn't mean that she doesn't love Damon anymore.
Exactly, and it's real things that happen to people, but it's just, and I think something that frustrates us so much about these books is that there are just things that have potential by accident.
And that's why the show is hopefully going to be so much better. Because the show, the writers are probably going to actually be like, that was good.
Because there are things there. There's material there.
The good news about the show, though, is as well as even if it's word for word the same as the book, it's going to be 10 times more enjoyable than the book.
Well, because I think like what we've talked about is that there are, like we've talked about with any kind of writing, a lot of times when you're looking back through your writing and there's issues with this, so many things are one sentence fixes. Yeah. And I think that if we went through these books and our stipulation was you can only fix the books by just editing the books themselves and not changing anything else, you just have to work with what you have in these books and keep it the exact same, like, the books have to stay 12 books or whatever. You could fix them for the most part.
It would be removing the shit that doesn't need to be there and just adding and then bulking out the things that need it. That would
also increasing time.
Yeah. Because you could make these books emotionally powerful books.
This could be such an amazing series.
Yes.
This really could be.
It really could be. And I think that's what's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
we're back to Zoe's pub.
Yes, to her pub.
We're speaking in alliterations now.
We're going back to the House of Night because the bus full of red fledglings just woke up with their humanity. So, which we see next in chapter 24 with Kevin, is that when they wake up and have their humanity, is they start remembering the things that they've done. And a few of the guys that he's with actually go kill themselves.
Yeah, because everybody's sobbing, and I just didn't give a fuck. I was like, stop crying, you stupid babies. I was like, why?
And then we go to Zoe's perspective, and she's like, hey, Grandma, other Kevin's here. And Grandma Redbird just fucking loses her shit. And I'm like, guess what? Your other grandkids are still alive. You just don't give a fuck about them.
The grandchild that you actually know.
The one that's actually here, you don't give a fuck about.
Yeah, and I will give, let's skip ahead to the end, because the other Kevin does go back to him as well. But before he leaves, he says to Zoe, "Hey, can you reach out to like this world's me because he misses you, okay?"
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I like other Kevin for the most part. He was funny. I liked having him around. Then this happens. So Aphrodite's like, yeah, no. So Jack and Damien are like going at it, and I think I want to see that happen. And I was like, excuse me while I throw up in my shirt. Like,
just Google gay porn, sweetheart.
You can be okay with the gays being gay without being like, I want to witness the gay like they're in a zoo.
Yeah.
And even if you're a woman and you're into gay porn, that's cool. That's your thing.
We're not going to shame you, Aphrodite.
Look.
People don't really talk about that in public, and especially about their friends.
Yeah.
Like, I would
also,
like, it'd be like, okay, like I'm like, it'd be like me being, you know, like, oh, Amy got a new boyfriend and they're off having sex. I'd really like to see that.
It's weird. It's weird.
It's weird.
You don't know. That's a lie.
Hey, Addie, can I watch you have sex?
No, please don't. No, they're not.
But if you're down with someone's sexuality, then you kind of want to witness it, right?
No. It's weird.
Addie, I just want you to know that I'm cool with your specific sexuality, like your brand of it, and whatever you're into, I'm cool with. So I'd really like to watch it if you don't, like for science. If
I
you
don't
don't
think
mind.
the boyfriend would be chill with that.
Yeah.
I think he'd be like, "Get the fuck away, dude." I'd be like, "Get the fuck away."
I want you to
imagine
text
him saying,
right. No. I want you to text him right now and be like, "Look, TJ really wants to watch us do fuck," and
he would just be like, "No." I think it literally would just be N-O period. I think that's exactly what he would say. He's not even still awake, so I won't even text him. But
it's for science, and she like needs it on a level because reason.
Yeah.
What?
So,
anyways,
it's more. I loved Darius's reaction to seeing Aphrodite's mark.
Okay, but wasn't he already her oathbound warrior?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I know, but I think he was just recommitting.
I know, and it was cute, but I was also like, he's our whatever, whatever.
His initial reaction and up to the it is my lifelong honor. Oh, like the pledge thing, just the do you accept my pledge? I think he just wanted to reaffirm it, but up until that point, I liked it.
I just want to restate this comment real quick.
And like kind of like proposed, I guess.
I do love Darius. I do love him.
I don't know. It turned into a stereotypical pun stream where we go off on tangents about all sorts of weird sexual things because that's what these books inspire.
Somehow, even though
what's really funny for books that shame sex so much,
with bestiality in this series.
Yeah,
for books that shame sex in so many ways, there are a lot of really weird sexual situations. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
I wrote this quote down. Zoe says, "I can't let the other Kevin down. I've already let one Kevin down. I'd basically abandoned him, leaving him to deal with my step loser and high school peer pressure by himself." And I wrote down, "You could fix your relationship with your real fucking brother. Why does he not matter?"
Yeah.
And they do mention the sister, but they're like, "Oh, well, sister's just kind of like majoring in beer and boys at Oklahoma State University."
Yeah, because she mentions like, "No, but I check up on them. Like, why wouldn't I?" I'm like, but
she's not mentioned them in 13 books.
It's not established that you give a fuck.
Yeah,
and grandma doesn't give a fuck either.
Yeah, from the time she got to the House of Night, like when she first got there,
she hadn't thought about them.
They weren't mentioned. They weren't thought about. Nothing. Not even when their mum died and grandma. Yeah. Neither grandma or Zoe were like made.
Oh, well, what about Kevin and Barbara? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Barbara wasn't even named until this book.
Well, I think they refer to her as her, like in the first
Barbie.
book, she mentions that she's a Barbie, but that's more her personality. But it turns out, no, that's her name.
Yeah.
I think they retconned that.
This is when Paschetti comes in and Jack and Damien. come in and they're gross. And Stevie Ray's like, oh my God, this is so great. And I just said, no, Stevie Ray. Oh no, Stevie Ray said Piscetti. And I said, don't endorse this. And then Rafaam's like, yeah, no, Kelowna didn't go see you. So, and the White Bull is the one who visited her, and good things came from it overall. So he's not going to be happy. Whatever.
Yeah.
Chapter 26, Grandma, You're Not Special, Go Away. Kevin's there, memories, hugging, crying. He calls her Zoe, and I'm triggered. God. Oh, the mac and cheese.
Oh God.
Can we? This sounds disgusking. It's like It's like mac and cheese and cream of mushroom soup, tuna, and then one other ingredient. I don't remember.
Like, what the ever-loving fuck?
He wants a macaroni cheese and sleaze, please. And the waitress.
Also, was it before or after this that she's like, I would know my brother anywhere? Because he cracked his fucking knuckles!
It's right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
When he comes back.
And then Zoe explains what mac cheese and sleaze is, and it's tell the chef to do the special mac and cheese he does for me. That's all she needed to say, but we have to know what it was. So it's the one with cream of mushroom soup, peas, and tuna added to it.
That's gross, dog. That's just I don't know. And then Kevin's like, oh, because then she's also like, and he'll also take a brown pop, not diet. And he's like, and his response is, no, actually, I won't get the Coke. Can I get a glass of Oneg? Yeah.
And then it's like the unshakable priestess, of course, said the unshakable priestess before she headed back to the kitchen. I made a mental note to give her some extra time off and speak to whoever is her mentor to let them know how calm she is under weirdness pressure. I'm like, is it really that weird for someone to say, hi, can I get the same mac and cheese she normally gets and a glass of blood, please? Is that really a weird thing?
They're vampires.
Like, that's the thing. I think I made a note of this.
A weird situation.
I think I make a note of this because also there's a thing where I think it's Damien with Grandma Redbird is like, you're not weirded out that we drink blood. I'm like, this is a vampire book where people are weirded out by blood.
Yeah. I don't know, man. So then we talk about Zoe's death in the other world, and she gets essentially what happened to Laurent, Blake, and Anastasia. So like gutted, bleh.
And then she's real fucking upsetty cuss about it.
Yeah,
she's like, you know what? I'm fine with however I died, except for that.
Yeah, and Kevin has like a crush on Aphrodite. It's the funniest fucking thing I've ever read. Other than when
I don't like that. I don't like though that because I don't like how the Aphrodite Kevin flirtation.
Yeah, I don't like that Aphrodite's like returning it. That's the only thing I don't like about it. I think it's funny that he's doing it, but when she returns it, I'm like, please go away.
Yeah.
Like, her blowing a kiss back to him, I'm cool with that. Aphrodite being how Aphrodite is.
Yeah.
But later on, when they say bye.
And it's established that Kevin is his world's Zoe, and so they do a thing essentially where they do a ritual in the temple.
Yeah, his marking day is literally the same as Zoe's marking day,
and Nick's told them the exact same phrase, and he's tattooed on his body. Then they find out he has an affinity for all 5 elements. And then he's sobbing, and he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go back, and I don't wanna." So then
But I have to.
Then
they realize they have to do the initial spell in reverse.
Can I is it possible to screen share actually, nope, I got it.
Yeah, you can screen share a specific application.
Oh, fuck yeah, because we're going to look at what I wrote down for Heath Jr. What is it? Application, notes.
I also hate it even more when they refer to Grandma as Gma.
Okay, I have it. I have it. So, here it is. So Zoe is like, hey, is he still alive in your world? And this is what I wrote down.
Yep. When you told me that, I was like, no.
and also apparently that's going to be from a little bit that I have seen, that it sounds like the fact that Heath is alive in the other world is going to be a thing.
Oh, it's a thing.
Like,
You don't want to get me started.
Okay,
I got
real quick,
fucking mad.
because she got mad enough to actually look up like mild spoilers for the next book.
Yeah. Mhm.
so that ends up being.
We'll get there. I'll get there at the end because it is at the end of this book. So we're going to Woodward Park and we do the thing. Kevin kisses Aphrodite and it's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah,
It's
so
funny.
Aphrodite kisses him on the lips, like just a short, sweet one. But it's also like Darius is right there.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, Aphrodite, as established, wouldn't do that.
No.
She's so dedicated.
He's also 16 and she's like 21.
Well,
She
that
wouldn't do
too. And she's so dedicated to Darius.
Yeah.
That she would never. Like Aphrodite.
And then he makes out with her.
Yeah. Like, not only does Darius worship the ground that she walks on,
But it's reversed.
Yeah.
but like she does too. But like she worships the ground that he walks on.
Yeah.
Just as much, if not more so.
Before Kevin leaves, he's like, go call real Kevin. And then the final chapter of this book is Kevin's gone. So they're going to go to the old dorm room and she cries. And
they have a party.
Yeah, and then Aphrodite gets a call that her mother OD'd, so she flushes her Xannies.
Yeah. Oh, also, we didn't get this in the audio book, but like when they have because they give Zoe a pendant for her birthday.
Yes.
And there's an engraving on the back there.
Yeah.
Wait, there we go.
Yeah, it's We Heart You.
Yeah, we heart you.
But they actually put the emoji in.
Yeah, they did.
They put the heart emoji into the book.
Yep. Yeah, they did.
You don't put emojis in books.
No, you don't. So then she goes to Nefert's tomb and is like, I pity you. And then she calls Kevin and she doesn't notice, but a darkness tendril comes to like lick her and then she moves, so sunlight hits it and it retreats. And that's the end of that book.
The end.
That's it. And so
for now.
The end for now. And the thing that this is in Loved, so we could talk about it. There's a preview at the end of this. That is like, here's a look into Lost. And it's Stark talking to Stevie Ray, and Stark's like, all Zoe's doing is going to Heath's grave, and I think she wants to go back to him in the other world. And it cuts to Zoe's perspective, and she's sitting on Heath's grave and talking to him, and she's like, I gotta go back, I gotta go back, I gotta go back, I gotta go back. Which is why at the beginning of the next book, she's like, Zoe, or PC Cast, like, Zoe told me that that's not why she wants to go back, but it is. I skimmed through the next book, and it is. My favorite character is Return, ladies and gentlemen.
And that is
fucking pissed. I'm really unhappy. So I thought we were done with Heath. I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead in the ground, and he is. And she's still talking to the motherfucker. But apparently she just changed the scene a little bit because the scene literally said, like, I have to go back to Heath.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to it. I was cautiously optimistic about this series, and I was stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's worse. It's the worst House of Night. We don't stand Heath.
No, nothing. Oh God, I really hope that Heath has more than 2 brain cells to rub together in like the other world, but I doubt it.
There's something that really funny happened that we'll talk about next stream that I found out that I told SDA. It's fucking hilarious.
Well, I guess that's the book.
That's the book. It's the worst book in the series. Yes.
I'm assuming it's going to get worse.
We will see if the next book is worse than this book, but that's how bad this book is. If you haven't seen the new trailer for Blackwood's The Blades of Redwater, go check it out.
It's fucking dope. And next Friday evening, we're doing an 11 p.m. Release stream for a midnight release for Blackwood's The Braids of Redwater.
Yeah.
It's all very exciting. I know we've been wanting to talk about it and like talk about what's actually in the book for a long time. Because in our heads, we're already on to TOOA.
Yeah. Because I don't think we've said what the actual title of the next book is.
Nope, we haven't, and we're not going to for a while. But that's the acronym. If you can figure it out, you won't. You won't. So I know that just like we're both really excited. Yep. So we'll keep blasting the stream on Discord. If you're not part of Discord, I'm sure the links are in the description.
Yeah. But if you guys want the book by, about the release date, then go ahead and order it now.
Yes, you definitely need to.
Like sign copies and stuff, that kind of thing.
If not, they'll be available on the 26th at all major retailers.
Yeah.
So
all that kind of fun stuff.
Barnes and Noble and Amazon.
But yeah, so
and then also next week day to be determined. We'll also be starting Bloodlines for book club.
Yeah. But that is loved, like, by PC and Kristen Cast. Fucking kill me. I hate this book.
Yeah, the season 2 is really bad so far.
Yeah.
I don't expect it to get better.
I'm wondering if there's going to be more Aphrodite's mom. Oh, no. Not Aphrodite's mom, but I wonder if there's going to be any more, like, if there's going to be a new Trump.
We'll see. We'll see.
We will see. But yeah, so that is the book. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go order Blackwood's The Blades of Redwater. They're linked in the description. And we will see you guys next time.